And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the most famous words in all of motorsports, here's today's Grand Marshal, Congressman Glenn Browder.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
43 engines fire to life, and the excitement that is Talladega is about to happen. Talladega, where it's not always easy to follow the rules and the signs posted around the racetrack.
They come through the tri-oval. Checkered is waving. Ernie Irvin wins, and Rusty spins and gets airborne and flips wildly right at the start-finish line, very reminiscent of his accident at Daytona.
Well, we have had a major crash here at Talladega right in front of us, and the car that gave us the biggest scare was Mark Martin, and we can only breathe a sigh of relief to see him get out of that thing. Morgan Shepherd will line up beside Dale Earnhardt for third.
Oh, and Morgan gets the car out of shape. He and Earnhardt almost get together.
The roof flaps do their job. Here we go. It comes down now to a battle between Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon off of corner number 4. Jeff looks to the inside as they come to the tri-oval. Martin will lead them down, however, he's got the advantage. And there's the checkered flag. Mark Martin wins the Winston Select 500. Gordon is second. At Talladega, the tendency is to get to the highest point to watch the action, and there isn't a seat to be had anywhere here today as the Winston Select 500 is about to go. ESPN Speed World welcomes you live to Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama and the Winston Select 500 for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. It is a beautiful day here in Talladega. The short track season is over, and here are the points leaders. We told you before the short track season that positions would change, and indeed we have a new points leader in Dale Earnhardt. Jeff Gordon jumped 7 positions during the short track season. However, Bill Elliott and Ricky Rudd dropped 3 positions during the short track season. But now we're at Talladega, where the speeds are over 200 miles an hour, but the excitement is just as great. We talked last week before Martinsville, Ned, about how patience was the key there. What's the key to winning here at Talladega?
Well, certainly patience are important here too, Bob. You can't afford to make any radical moves out there, but drafting is the key. We've talked about how one car can draft another one, even though he might be 2 or 3 miles an hour slower in qualifying. We're going to see that all day long. We're going to see a lot of cars running together, and sometimes we see some bumping when we see that many cars running together.
Let's check on the latest stories from pit road. First, Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Bob, the stands are packed and so are the pits, but calculations now begin in earnest here in the pits. I'm in Ernie Irvin, our pole sitters, pitting behind me. Larry McReynolds beginning to calculate what the fuel mileage will be today for the 4s. Now, look here. It's a 188-lap race. You count backwards. 188, that's a checkered flag. Minus 55 laps, that's what they should be able to run. That means they stop on lap 133. Minus 55, lap 78. Minus 55, lap 23. That's the best case scenario if they can make it 55. Everyone calculating in the pits. For more, let's go to Bill Weber.
Well, I'm standing here between the pits of Ken Schrader and Ward Burton. If I look down that way, I can't even see the finish line. It's 500 miles away, but remember, it's further down pit road. One other stat. They've run a little over 100 races here at, check that, about 53 races here at Talladega. 26 of them have been won from the front row. That's 49%. So if you have Yates in the pool, you might be in pretty good shape. To my partner, John Kernan.
Darrell Walter needed a champion's provisional to get into this race. Talked to Jeff Hammond, his team manager. Darrell and he have won a lot of races over the years, some championships this morning, and Jeff told me they have gone and changed engines. They have gotten an engine from the 44 crew, a Ron Hutter engine, and yesterday afternoon in practice, Darrell was at least a second faster. So even though he's starting shotgun on the field, old DW has a smile on his face as he rolls out there on the racetrack.
Let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's race. It's Ernie Irvan on the pole at 192.8 miles an hour with Dale Jarrett, who's going for the Winston Million, $100,000 if he can win here today. If he wins 3 of the 4, he wins the million. Second row in today's race will be Jeremy Mayfield and Sterling Marlin. Jeremy with his best start after his best finish last week. The third row, Ted Musgrave and Mike Skinner. Row number 4 is Jeff Purvis and Robert Presley. In the fifth row, Jeff Burton and Johnny Benson, the rookie. Defending Winston Cup champion Jeff Gordon starts 11th alongside Derek Cope. Then the Labonte brothers in row number 7, Terry and Bobby. And as you look at the rest of the starting lineup, we'll remind you the race is 188 laps long. They're racing on corners banked at 33 degrees and never a dull moment at Talladega.
No, they can run very easily 2 and even sometimes 3 or 4 abreast on these turns, Bob, even though they like to stay in at least 2 single lines if possible, but occasionally we'll see them get 3 wide. There's Michael Waltrip starting back there in the 16th row. He's anxious to get up towards the front. Of course, all these guys are that are starting back there.
I tell you that Benny Parsons is a little under the weather and will not be with us here this afternoon. But we invite you to stay tuned for what is always one of the most exciting races of the year. There you see the provisional starters, including Mike Wallace and Brett Bodine, and Darrell Waltrip with the former champions provisional, giving us 43 cars to take the green flag in just a moment. 7 of today's top 10 starters have never won a NASCAR Winston Cup race, and this is certainly a racetrack that we have seen many first-time winners at, and we could see another today. We dedicate this race to the president of ARCA, Bob Loga, who died yesterday afternoon from injuries suffered in a traffic accident, a highway accident, near the Speedway on Friday. Comes down looking for green. The Winston Select 500 is on.
Takes a while to get these restrictor plate motors wound up. In fact, it takes more than a lap. But they're already winding up pretty good. Jarrett has nobody up on the outside there to draft with him. Sterling Marlin didn't get off to a very good start there. Those 2 Robert Hicks Fords running neck and neck into turn 3.
Just like they were when they crossed the starting line, they're still side by side as they head for the 3rd and 4th turns. Jeremy Mayfield is tucked right in behind Ernie Irvan down low. Lap number 1, Sterling Marlin makes it 3 wide at the line, and I have no idea. I think it was Sterling that led it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Look at Earnhardt in the middle, Ned.
Wow, that's not a place you want to be this early in the race, but if anybody can handle that situation, he can. He might have an opportunity there to get out in front of Robert Presley, but he didn't. No, it didn't quite work for him.
So Earnhardt is in the middle of a 2x2. Now he ducks in the low line and gets behind. Tries to get in front of Jeff Gordon, but can't do that either. And here's the view from Mark Martin's roof cam.
Boy, look at the cars in front of him. Of course, Mark started back in 37th position.
Two by two this time down the line. Marlin and Ernie Irvan side by side, and Sterling has the advantage again, but it's just inches.
Just by inches. He goes out in front now. Dale Jarrett sort of pushed Marlin into that first turn. Not literally pushing. They were not touching, but the draft certainly helps. The car behind you helps the car in front.
Now we have 2 by 2 as Earnhardt was able to get in front of Jeff Gordon. Meanwhile, down low, we see Jeff Burton, who makes it 3 wide.
Puts Earnhardt back in the middle again. Riding with Dale Jarrett. And he passes Sterling Marlin, takes the lead.
Jarrett is going to lead lap number 3. Ernie Irvin second. Already Jeremy Mayfield's car, which is the third one down on the bottom line, has a donut on the side of his car. He's had contact with somebody out there already. This is Ken Schrader's in-car camera. Again, we see 3 wide racing as Earnhardt has dropped to the inside to make it 3 wide. And there you see Jeff Burton also down low.
Well, that makes me nervous every time we see cars 3 wide, because that guy in the middle, he's sort of a sitting duck down there. But lots of that going on here today. Look at Earnhardt making a move 3 deep here.
Earnhardt's going to take Jeff Gordon with him. They're going to put Jeremy Mayfield in the middle, and it hasn't taken long for Dale Earnhardt to come forward. He's up to 4th right now. That's his teammate Mike Skinner in the 31 car up above Jeff Gordon.
And Mike Skinner still hanging in there in the 6th position where he started.
Look at this, Ned.
Wow.
They're using every inch of the backstretch.
You get a little momentum coming off the turn. 3, 4 wide. They're 4 wide.
Wow, look at this.
Be careful, guys, is all I can say.
Bill Elliott way up high. Boy, Benny would love to be here to watch this. This is where he loves to watch a race from. And again, BP is a little under the weather. The car in trouble. Jimmy Spencer.
And it goes down. Everybody gets by him as he went down across the track, but
it's a 2-car accident. The other machine involved would be the 75 of Morgan Shepherd.
Morgan, when Spencer got sideways, Morgan could not go anywhere, and he just rode along with him until they got up into the wall.
We need a set of tires. Let's fuel it up also.
Listening to Morgan Shepherd's radio.
Spencer caused that whole damn deal down there.
Morgan, we're going to get back in this race. We need the points, buddy. Let's have a positive attitude.
Morgan, you got any oil pressure?
I doubt it. There's oil all over the windshield. You can see nothing.
Oh, that's a tough break.
And from Morgan Shepherd's perspective, we'll see how this incident unfolded.
Everything riding along pretty good there. And here comes Spencer, the yellow car, coming in there, and he touches. Was that Ricky Craven's car that he touched? And it just shot him right into the outside wall, and Morgan was there and had nowhere to go.
We keep trying to clear the lens, and it won't cleanse because of so much oil that was put down by this. Now here's a perspective. That's Jimmy Spencer there in the middle as they come through the tri-oval. Now watch, he's going to slide up and make contact with Ricky Craven.
Well, Craven came down a little bit as he started off that turn, not knowing that Spencer was there, and they made contact, and it shot Spencer up towards the outside wall, and Morgan Shepherd was there, just simply nowhere to go.
Fortunately, no other car involved, just Jimmy Spencer and Morgan Shepherd. Spencer's car has come to a rest very close to the start-finish line down here. Here's Bill Weber.
Well, I'm down in their pit. Troy Selberg's talking to one of the race officials. As you can see, the crew's already gone back to the garage. They considered this their magic car. In fact, that's what Troy told me this morning. It's run 7 super speedway races. It's led in every race. Not today.
It's an early out for both Spencer and Morgan Shepherd. We'll see if they can get their cars repaired and back in the race. But right now we are under caution here at Talladega with 6 of 188 laps completed. ESPN Speed World coverage of the Winston Select 500 from Talladega is being brought to you by the all-new Ford F-150. Strength after strength after strength. By Budweiser, official sponsor of the 1996 Summer Games. This Bud's for you. And by Quaker State, the motor oil that exceeds the highest standards of engine protection. Caution on the racetrack. Dr. Jerry Punch is standing by with Jimmy Spencer.
Jimmy, a tough start for you at Talladega. What happened out there?
Oh, just should start 38th place. You know, that's the first thing. We just didn't qualify really well at all. And, man, we had a strong race car. And I probably wasn't as patient as I should have been, but I got pinched off, you know. I'm not mad at anybody for it. It's just racing, and it's typical Talladega, you know. Thank the Lord nobody got hurt. Smoke and Joe's team, I really feel bad for them because they knew we had a real good race car. The car never qualified well, but always ran well here at 2 top 10s last year here. That's life, and we gathered up and tried to go to Sonoma next week.
You did a heck of a job to hang on to the race car when it got sideways out there.
Yeah, Jerry, I'll tell you, I tried to keep it up as long as I could, and then it got in its own oil. It busted the oil cooler, and it started to come back across the racetrack, and I just thank everybody what it was watching, and I didn't get hit, you know, and then I got it straightened out again because it could have come back up the racetrack, and I will tap myself on the back for that. I appreciate you saying that, but I shouldn't have even been in that deal, and I won't pat myself on the back for that one.
Jimmy Spencer frustrated and headed back to the garage area where the crew is already waiting to meet him. They're going to try to fix the car and somehow get him back out. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Sterling Marlin made an early pit stop. His car was running hot. Tony Clover just told me too much tape on the front. They simply wanted to bring him in, take the tape off, put some water in there, top off with fuel, get it fixed right now so they don't have to worry about it later. Jeremy Mayfield does indeed have a donut. I asked crew chief Tony Furr who delivered that. He said, I don't know, it's just the same problem we had at Martinsville. No respect. Don't worry, we're going to get back to the front. That's something these guys ran into. They did have a great race on the short track at Martinsville, but because Jeremy's so young, doesn't have a lot of experience, they're not getting the respect they think they deserve. They plan to earn it here today.
Not only was Sterling Marlin in, several others made pit stops during this caution period just to top off the fuel tanks. We'll take another break during this caution and be back with more from Talladega.
Hi again, everybody. Brett Haber here in the ESPN studios. We're going to get you back to the race at Talladega as soon as the flag turns green again, but now we've got an opportunity to catch you up to date on some of the other auto racing and other sports news going on around the world even as we speak. In particular, the European Grand Prix on the F1 circuit. Of course, Jacques Villeneuve switched over there. He was the Indy 500 champion. Still has not won a race on that circuit, trying to give it a go. Damon Hill looking for his 4th victory of the season, but the pole sitter gets a poor start and he drops back early. The trouble for Hill, bumps tires. With Pedro Denis goes off the track, he fell back to 10th. Meanwhile, the rest of the race would come back to Schumacher and Villeneuve. In the end, Villeneuve crossing the finish line ahead of Schumacher, and indeed, Jacques Villeneuve with his first Formula One victory. First time a Canadian has won a Grand Prix race since his father, Gilles Villeneuve, won back in 1981. Schumacher, last year's champion, coming in 2nd, and David Coulthard of Great Britain finishing 3rd. Also, the Indy race coming up later today. That one, the Grand Prix Bosch Sparkplug Grand Prix. Paul Tracy will have the pole, Emerson Fittipaldi in 2nd. Remember, coverage on ABC at 2 p.m. Eastern, and if you missed that, tomorrow on ESPN. We have got plenty of action coming up on ESPN today. NASCAR Shop Talk after the race, then the Senior PGA from Las Vegas. Right now, we're going to kick it back to Talladega and Bob Jenkins.
We are still under caution here at Talladega. Good to see that Jacques Villeneuve has won his first Formula One race. We're at Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama. Jimmy Spencer and Morgan Shepherd involved in an early crash. We've talked to Jimmy. Now let's talk to Morgan. Here's John.
Well, Bob, as we've said earlier, a lot of packs of cars. When something happens, you don't have anywhere to go, and apparently that's what happened to Morgan Shepherd. Could you see it all develop in front of you, Morgan?
Well, all I know is a couple cars got together, and the Twin 3 car came across in front of me, and it's just very, it's hard. Our Remington Thunderbird ran so good in practice yesterday, and we finished 3rd and 4th 2 races last year, and felt like we had a good shot at it today.
The crew's working to try and get you back out there, cutting the fenders off right now. A lot of oil all over the windshield when they brought it in. Let's go out to pit road and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Hey, John, this caution, a break for Rick Mast, your buddy from Virginia. The Hooters Pontiac felt a vibration. They came down pit road, thought maybe just to take a rubber out of the right rear, but turns out they had run over some debris and punctured a right rear tire, so they came in and changed all 4. So a break for Mast. Maybe that young man's luck is changing, Bob.
Several went in for pit stops. We'll list those for you. Joe Nemechek, Mast, Martin, Kyle Petty, Mike and Kenny Wallace, Darrell Waltrip, Elton Sawyer, Brett Bodine, all were in during this caution, which was a little lengthier than it could have been because of oil on the track. Getting set for the restart.
That was a pretty big move by the Sterling Marlin crew to bring the car back.
Pace car's coming off.
It has to go all the way to the rear.
John Kernan. Let's go to Bill Weber quickly.
Okay, as Ned was saying, the 4 got fuel. The 88 thought they had right side damage. They asked Ernie Irvin to come up and take a look. Ernie said it was okay. Some left side damage on the 41 car of Ricky Craven. His crew chief, Charlie Presley, believes he'll be okay. Green about to come back out of Talladega. The race resumes.
Green is flying as the cars go through the oil grind. Well, we see the Yates cars 1 and 2. The Childress cars are 3 and 4 as they head for the 33 degrees of banking once again. And as you indicated, Ned, it takes a little bit for these engines to get up to speed.
Yeah, they're looking at 450, 460 horsepower as opposed to the unrestricted engines, which are probably 750 horsepower. And so it takes them a little more than a lap. In fact, at the restrictor plate tracks, they give them 2 laps in qualifying so that they can get all of the speed out of the car that the car is capable of.
14-to-1 compression engines and a restrictor plate at 29.30 seconds. 3 wide once again into corner number 1. Jeff Burton down low now. He sneaks up ahead of Rusty Wallace.
Boy, Rusty covered that place very quickly, and Earnhardt has passed Ernie Irvin. Here comes the car number 31 also, Mike Skinner. Earnhardt now becomes a Dale and Dale show here early in the race. And here's Gordon coming down on the inside, trying to take over third.
Doesn't have much help down there on the bottom, but he was still able to sweep around and go into third. So now it's Jarrett Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon.
Ernie Irvin sort of caught on the outside there, needs a little drafting help. Well, that single file restart separated things for a little bit and broke up those 3 and 4 wide seams that we saw, but now they're beginning to come back already again.
This is from Ted Musgrave's onboard perspective. That's Terry Labonte running to his right. Jeff Purvis up ahead. Jeremy Mayfield to his right now.
Jeremy had dropped back to 11th, but now he's picking back up, got back up in the top 10.
Here's a Napa field summary. The numbers in parentheses indicate where they started. The first 3 in points are the first 3 on the racetrack.
It looked like for a moment that Jarrett, Earnhardt, and Gordon might be able to pull away. And here's Earnhardt going for the lead. But the others caught up to him very quickly, and they're sitting duck once a couple of cars decide they want to team up and go by you, and everybody's going by Dale Jarrett there right now.
Yeah, Jarrett got no help there, and everybody going by him, including Jeff Gordon, Ernie Irvin. Here's Mike Skinner to the inside. There's Terry Labonte right behind Dale Jarrett.
Well, he pulls up there and gives Jarrett a little bit of help, which might let him go, and it does let him go on by Mike Skinner.
Jeremy Mayfield is right behind Mike Skinner, forming the line behind Mike. Meanwhile, the 37 car of John Andretti is on the move, and Rusty Wallace also.
Here we are again with those 3 and 4 wide battles.
Andretti has moved to 21st. Rusty's up to 18th. And John Andretti is right in the middle of the big mess down there in turn 4.
And still his foot on the floorboard. There's Ward Burton in the MBNA car down on the inside of John Andretti.
Up front, meanwhile, it is still Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon running nose to tail. Ernie Irvin, then side by side, we had Dale Jarrett and Terry Labonte. And here comes Jeremy Mayfield along with Mike Skinner. And Mayfield impressive here in the early going.
Yeah, he got shuffled back there in their early going. Dropped back to 11th, but now back up there fighting for a top 5 position. Jerry gets loose. Jerry got very loose going into turn 3 there, but it looks like he was able to gather it back in, but he lost some positions.
Wow, nice save here. I didn't see it. Let's find out what happened.
And you see a lot of cars going by Dale. He's wondering if maybe he has a tire going down. I'm sure that he's resting, he's riding sort of easy there right now just to see how that thing's going to feel going into this next turn. Like he went through there okay, but he's dropped back considerably in the field, and if the car is loose, it's going to be looser yet in this big pack of cars.
5 cars have broken away somewhat from the rest of the field. Jeremy Mayfield and Derek Cope are running side by side, as are Ricky Rudd and Bobby Labonte. And John Andretti behind Bobby at the top of the track. Take a look again at what happened to Dale Jarrett, that he got loose and lost several positions.
Right there. When Jeremy Mayfield went up there, it took the air off his spoiler and just pulled it around a little bit.
That must be a scary feeling when all of a sudden there is no air on your rear spoiler, the thing that keeps the rear end of the car down on the racetrack, really.
Yeah, you can spin a car out and not touch it on this racetrack if you get just in the right position, and that was almost the right position there.
Looking back on Wally Dallenbach, here's more from Bill Weber.
Ned and Bob, they were on the wall here waiting to change a tire on Dale Jarrett's car, but you hit it right on, Ned. It was the air off the 98 car. His spotter called down to DJ and told him it's just the air off the 98 car. It loosened you up. You're all right, buddy.
But boy, what a tremendous setback, Ned. And again, it just goes to show you how a very instant when something goes wrong, and look how many positions he has lost.
Back in 23rd position.
Up front, it is Dale Earnhardt leading the Winston Select 500. Ernie Irvan is running second, and Jeff Gordon, Terry Labonte, and Mike Skinner. 19 laps have been completed. We'll take a break and be right back. 9 cars are on the lead draft as you rejoin us here at the Winston Select 500 from Talladega Superspeedway. New leader since we took the commercial break. Ernie Irvan has gone to the front, putting Dale Earnhardt, who will celebrate his 45th birthday tomorrow, back in second position. Jeff Gordon running behind Dale. And here's how Ernie Irvan took the lead away from the 7-time champion.
He was sitting there in the middle of those 2 Chevrolets, pulled out going into turn 1. Jeff Gordon goes with him and helps Ernie to draft right on past to Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt might have had to back off just a little bit right there, and Gordon comes on around, gets on the inside, but then Earnhardt momentum carries him on back up there, so he remained in second place.
Is the second pack led by Sterling Marlin. Remember last year he had trouble and dropped way back. And Sterling Marlin helped in the late going Jeff Gordon and Morgan Shepherd to get up to the leaders to run with him. That was a very interesting situation last year.
Yes, it really was, and he's helping this pack of cars to come up towards the front too. Mark Martin hanging on tight there. Brent Bodine right there with him, Joe Nemechek and Rick Mast, and they are catching the front pack of cars.
This is about 30th on back. Sterling Marlin running in 30th position. Brett Bodine currently running in 31st position right now. Brett started in 41st position, so he's picked up 10 positions, and the car is drafting well. He told us at dinner last night that he had a good drafting race car.
Yeah, he's doing a good job coming up through there. In fact, they are running a little bit faster right now than the leaders are. There are 6 cars in the lead draft that have sort of broken away from another pack, but this crew that we're watching here right now is definitely gaining on that other pack of cars. On the second pack of cars, I should say.
Down the long back stretch here at Talladega, and you got a wall of 33 degrees of banking staring you right in the face. But when you get there, it flattens out when you're running at 190 plus miles an hour. And up front, again, the positions change as Earnhardt slips back to 4th spot. Irvan retains the lead. Gordon and Terry Labonte second and third. Here's Michael Waltrip, who is in 15th position, and Bill Elliott is up ahead. Waltrip started 31st, and a lead change here as Jeff Gordon goes to the bottom and brings Terry Labonte along with him, and Ernie Irvan goes from first to third. And here comes the 4-car.
Boy, he's got that momentum going. He caught that pack of cars. And he had to back off there. Dave Marcus pulled down in front of him. He really had some momentum going there, Bob, but he had to back off just momentarily. He'll let him scatter out there just a little bit, and he'll still continue on towards the front.
We were watching a pretty good battle here between the 94 of Elliott and the 21 of Michael Waltrip before Jeff Gordon took the lead, so we'll go back to it now.
Now, how about Bobby Hamilton, who is running right there with Michael Waltrip and them? He has moved. He's running right behind Michael Waltrip, as a matter of fact. And he started, back in 39th place.
Yep.
So he has made a tremendous move up through the pack.
One of the provisional starters, Bobby Hamilton. John Kernan has more on Bobby Hamilton.
Bob, I was talking to his crew chief, Robbie Loomis, this morning, and I asked Robbie, how's the car running? It's the same car that they had at Daytona where they finished 20th with it. He said, well, the car's running okay. It doesn't run well by itself, but in the draft, it feels really comfortable. Their goal today, really not to win the race, although that would be nice. But Robbie says, hey, a top 10 finish would send us all home with a smile on our faces.
Doing a great job so far in the STP Pontiac, closing right up on Michael Waltrip, and now Ricky Rudd is to your left, or right rather.
Ricky is really on the move down on the inside.
He's got Chuck Bound right behind him.
And we said a moment ago that 6 cars had pulled away. No more. They've all caught up.
Everybody is nose to tail. Second line here with Mike Skinner leading that group, along with Ricky Rudd and Chuck Bound.
There you can see how wide the racetrack is here, much wider than Daytona, banking a little bit steeper. That's why they can run 2 abreast very comfortably, and even sometimes 3 abreast not very comfortably.
John Andretti there on your left has moved into the top 10 already. The 43 car, we understand, may be smoking a little bit out there. We'll keep an eye on Bobby Hamilton. It could have been maybe some speedy dry that he ran through here on the tri-oval that they put down after Jimmy Spencer's incident. We'll keep an eye on it for you. Meanwhile, it's Gordon, Labonte, Ken Schrader now third, and Ernie Irvan.
Ernie Irvan caught down on the inside with no drafting help there at all. He needs one of his Ford buddies to come along. There's nobody behind him. Way back there is Michael Waltrip, but he's not any help to him right now.
Ken Schrader won a race here at Talladega in July of 1988. He and Ernie Irvan come through the tri-oval side by side. And from Schrader's car, we see Robert Presley drafting.
Well, here comes Earnhardt, but he's not going to help Ernie Irvan. He's going to try to pass him.
And it's 3 wide again in the corner.
Now Ernie maybe can hang on to Earnhardt. It's hard to determine yet, Bob, if the outside line's best or the inside. I think it depends a great deal on how your race car is working. They got plenty of room down there on the inside, so you can see that Ernie Irvan has picked Earnhardt up and going to try to draft him. There's Michael Waltrip right behind both of them.
Now we'll see if this second line can come up and challenge the leaders.
Well, Michael Waltrip, he decided to go up there and make it 3 abreast. In the middle. That's a gutsy move.
And also 3 abreast behind him, Jarrett on the inside of Chuck Bound, up high Jeff Burton. And the 4 car of Sterling Marlin continues to move up. He's up to 23rd right now. And he's taken those guys behind him with him.
Yeah, he brought the whole field up there with him. So the whole field is just running together, except for a couple of cars that have lost the draft. Darrell Waltrip is one of those. And Jeff Bodine and Darrell Waltrip are drafting together about over a half a lap behind the leader.
Now it's 4 wide into 1. Martin going by Mike Skinner.
And he has that momentum. He's just hanging right on the back bumper of Sterling Marlin. He hadn't given up that position, don't want to give up that position. He likes what Sterling Marlin has done for him, just brought him right up through the pack. There's Steve Grissom in the car number 29 following Mark Martin.
Yeah, it's also been a good move for Steve Grissom, who has been brought to the front.
Now, Marlin goes to the high side. He's been running on the low side. Let's see, Mark Martin's going to follow right along. He says, I like that man. He's pulling me right on up through there, so they're going by Dale Jarrett up on the outside.
Well, you can find different cars during a race that you draft better with, and apparently Mark thinks that Marlin is somebody that he wants to draft with today.
Yeah, Earnhardt seems to be having, I don't know if he's got a problem or what the situation is, but Dale Earnhardt is definitely not running as good as he was, and he's held up that low groove there a little bit.
Dale Earnhardt drops back to 14th position, so something may be wrong with his car, but it's Jeff Gordon up front at Talladega. Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama, the 2.6-mile track featuring speeds near 200 miles an hour, and Jeff Gordon on the left has the lead of this event right now. Terry Labonte is running in second position, then Ken Schrader and Robert Presley.
Pretty calm up front, Bob. Single file racing, but look at Sterling Marlin as he continues to come up through the pack all the way from the back after making a pit stop during that caution, and Mark Martin has hung right onto him, right on his back bumper, and is coming to the front with him.
Every place that Marlin goes, Martin goes. Now we have Ernie Irvan and Dale Earnhardt both dropping back. Let's check for Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, from the front to back in 14th spot, there's the Texaco Havoline 4 of Ernie Irvan. He's reporting that the race car has gotten very, very loose. Larry McReynolds said, hey, we've got about 20 laps until our scheduled pit stop. We'll come in and we'll add 1.5 pounds of air pressure in the right front and bump the rear spoiler. Just hang on, Ernie, hang on, man. Meanwhile, back in Dale Earnhardt's situation, he has languished back to 25th spot, and he has an identical problem. He has told his crew, hey, I'm very loose. The problem's the same, so the solution. Air pressure in the right front and bump the spoiler. Let's check in on Dale Jarrett's problem with Bill Weber.
Well, I can just say ditto, but for the 88 car, Dale Jarrett is running fast laps, but is very, very loose. They're going to bump up the spoiler, make an air pressure adjustment. There's also some speculation down here that it's very breezy out here today, and that could be affecting the handle of the race car. John Kernan has more on Labonte.
Well, Bill, that wind doesn't seem to be affecting Terry Labonte at all. Just talked to his crew chief, Gary Dehart, and Gary smiled and Terry says the car is perfect as far as handling-wise. It's running just a little bit warm, but Gary said that's nothing to worry about. First pit stop, they'll take a little bit of tape off to get a little more air into the radiator to cool it down.
Should have scheduled pit stops somewhere between laps 45 and 55. And Sterling Marlin has moved to 5th position. We timed the interval between Jeff Gordon, the leader, and Sterling Marlin, and dropped the interval 2.8 to 1 second, and he was faster than Jeff Gordon except 1 lap.
And remember that he and Mark Martin and a number of others made pit stops. They're going to have about 6 or 7 or 8 more laps that they can run out here before they have to make pit stops if everybody has to stop underground.
And as you can see, Mark Martin, who joined with Sterling Marlin at the back of the pack, is now running 6th. Both of them go to the bottom side of the racetrack. All the way from 37 starting position for Mark Martin up to 6th.
Well, the Hendrick cars have been running 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, but right now that's about to change as Sterling Marlin continues that move on the inside right to the front.
Man, a very impressive performance by Sterling Marlin.
Well, so much for the old saying, well, if those restrictor plate engines you can't pass.
That's for sure. Looking back on Presley and Martin. How about the compression ratio, Ned? We've had a change since last year's race here at Talladega.
Well, certainly that reduced the horsepower a little bit on these restrictor plate engines, but it made the drafting that much more effective. And that's what we're seeing here today. That's the draft has played such an important role. You get the car in the right position, you can just motor. Here's Marlin out from the outside. He's lost his buddy, Mark Martin, back there.
But Marlin is now challenging for second position. I think he's going to take second. He does. Marlin now to second. Terry Labonte back to third. He sets out after Jeff Gordon, who finished second in this race last year and 8th in the July race here at Talladega. Here's John with more on the compression ratios.
Well, Bob, Bill Weber and I were talking to Sterling this morning, and Sterling says with this lower compression engine that actually you can, as Sterling Marlin is trying to get around for the lead, but he has no help to help him draft along. But Sterling, now he got him. He has him. Sterling Marlin pulls him to the lead after that pit stop and all the way from the back. But Gordon is trying to come back. And Gordon has his teammate behind him, Terry Labonte, to try and push him along. But Sterling says with these lower compression ratio engines, you can actually come up behind somebody, lift on the gas a little bit. And the 5-car, Terry Labonte, now dipping in with the 4-car, and there goes Gordon to the back. But Sterling says you can actually come up on somebody, lift on the gas just a little bit with these new lower compression ratio engines, mash the gas, and you'll get a little power to squirt around. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
However, John, I talked to Robert Gates this morning. Said, do you think the 14-to-1 engine would get better fuel mileage? Guess again. The spark plug shows that you might be able to lean the motor out. But if you do lean the engine out to get better fuel mileage at 14-to-1, you lose a tremendous amount of horsepower. So you got to burn some gas, which means no better gas mileage than they got a year ago.
Then I'm a little bit surprised that Terry Labonte formed this drafting line behind Sterling Marlin and put his teammate Jeff Gordon back to what, 5th or 6th?
Well, he realized that Sterling Marlin was a faster car here right now, and that he needed to try to pull away from this crowd back behind him there, and that was his best opportunity to do it. I had a feeling that once Sterling Marlin got to the front of the pack that he would pull the field away more. Here's Dick Trickle in the pits, but he would run faster laps than they were running, and sure enough he is.
Dick Trickle sitting on pit road, getting the tires changed on the car, doing a chassis adjustment there at the left rear.
Trickle was very high on his chances coming here to Talladega. Mark Smith, who was in the Health Source Ford, had found a lot more horsepower than they had at Daytona, and boy, they were looking forward to getting here. He did have a good second round qualifying yesterday. He didn't qualify on Friday, but second round qualifying, he ran good yesterday.
5 cars now in the lead draft, and the second pack being led by Michael Waltrip. And then a couple of cars side by side are Steve Grissom and Mark Martin. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. Dick Trickle has made a pit stop, tries to catch up with the rest of the field, and we'll tell you that you can see the same real-time electronic timing and scoring that Winston Cup officials use to monitor the races if you dial up www.nascar.com, NASCAR Online. Catch the progress of any car on the track, even print out a scoreboard to follow along with each race. NASCAR Online, www.nascar.com. They're the first 4. Sterling Marlin, Terry Labonte, Ken Schrader, Jeff Gordon. 3 of the 4 are Hendrick cars, and running in 5th position is Robert Presley. Whoa, they're fanning out behind here and going 5 wide.
Ernie Irvin got a smooth run coming off there. Now that Darrell Walker just went a lap down here a moment ago to the leaders, so he's in that thick pack of cars. And Jeff Bodine up on the outside in the QVC number 7, he also went a lap down.
There are 37 cars on the lead lap at the moment, with 44 laps completed.
I think there are a good number of these cars that are anxious to get into the pits and get a few adjustments made to their cars.
Well, we should start seeing pit stops before long, shouldn't we, Ned?
Yeah, it shouldn't be too long because we've run 45 laps now.
Oh, look at this. Jarrett beside Ricky Craven and Jeff Bodine up on top.
And Bodine stays very high. Several other cars go by. That puts it down to just 2 wide now. That makes me feel better.
And there is Rusty Wallace, who has moved up to 24th.
Well, we should say move back.
Yeah, really.
Rusty actually started, in the 15th position. So Rusty's still running in that pack, but
there's Brett Bodine running behind Rusty.
Yeah, he was coming up through the pack with Sterling Marlin and Mark Martin, but when he got to the pack, apparently his car got a little bit loose in all the air that these cars were creating, so he had to drop off the pace a little bit, but he's still very much in there, but not up there with those that he was running with.
This is what it looks like from Brett Bodine's perspective. Ted Musgrave looking back on Brett.
Rusty went by on the inside. Here's Brett going by. Joe Nemechek back there as well. I think these are some cars that would like maybe to get in the pits and get some adjustments made.
Just show you how far that group of cars is from those running up front, led by Sterling Marlin. When we went green on lap number 12 after the Jimmy Spencer Morgan Shepherd mishap, Sterling Marlin was in 37th position. On lap number 40, he took the lead and has held it since. Where is Dale Earnhardt after running up front in the early stages of this event? The car lost its handling, and where is he?
Way back, what, 33rd position?
He is 33rd and out of the draft.
Yeah, he's riding this thing out right now, waiting for that first caution flag. You can see that his lap times are slower than those of Sterling Marlin. Not a whole lot, but enough to move him back through the pack.
So Dale Earnhardt is one of those that would like to get in for a pit stop here before too long and see if he can correct this problem that the car is experiencing. We're going to take a quick break in anticipation of the pit stops that are going to be coming up before too long. It's Sterling Marlin leading Terry Labonte in the Winston Select 500 at Talladega. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Bill Elliott becomes the first to make a pit stop here. Elliott gives up his 12th position to come in for new tires. A couple of other cars also win, the 95 and the 8.
Bud Strickland in the car number 8 and Chuck Bound in the number 95. Others coming down the pit road, including Ernie Irvin, Dale Jarrett.
Jeremy Mayfield also in, as is Wally Dallenbach, Brett Bodine. And let's go to Bill Weber in Mayfield's pit.
Jeremy Mayfield is in. They go to the right side first. Some tape torn off the front end. Dale Jarrett is also on pit road, fueling the 98 car, making a chassis adjustment. Now they come around to the left side. They're having trouble with the right rear. It's going to be a 2-tire change for the 98 and a 2-tire change for the 88. Down pit road goes Dale Jarrett, and he'll return to the race.
And that's interesting. In the past, we've seen 4-tire changes, but not the case here at Talladega. Tire wear is not a big problem here on this racetrack.
Dale Earnhardt burning him up as they come off pit road. Here are Marlin, Gordon, and Labonte. Here's Bill Weber once again.
And Sterling Marlin coasts in. He's already stopped once today. They go around to the right side. This team is thrilled with how this car is running. Johnny Benson pits right in front of him. They clean the windshield. It's a right side tire change. It's going to be a 4-tire change for Sterling Marlin. Down pit road to Jerry Punch.
Not so in the Jeff Gordon pit. Right side tires only for the defending series chassis. The DuPont Chevy is down and away. Right side tires, no chassis adjustment. He's back down pit road and being pursued by the car number 5 of Terry Labonte.
A very, very busy pit road. Here comes Mark Martin, John Andretti, Derek Cope, Robert Presley, all coming out after pit stops.
Sterling Marlin's going to have to pass a lot of race cars again because as a result of taking on 4 tires, he's going to be back in the pack once they get their speed up.
He's at the...
There you saw Ernie Irvin going by. He pitted the lap before, so he's passing all of those cars as they try to get up their speed.
Bobby Hamilton is in. Here's John.
And it should likewise be only a right side tire change. Gasoline going in. A little bit of a problem with that. Yes, it's only going to be right sides. A little bit of a problem with getting it filled up. But finally, they get all the gas in. Bobby Hamilton's down and away. Let's go down to Bill Weber.
Ricky Craven has come and gone. Fuel and right side tires for the guy that's 4th in points. Back to the race.
And that should just about do it. I think everybody has been in now for a scheduled pit stop, and so we go back to the racetrack and see who is.
Well, Dave Marcus might not have made a pit stop yet.
He's the leader, isn't he?
Yeah, Dave, and he's one of those, I'm sure, that made a pit stop a little bit earlier. Maybe when they had that first caution flag. Look, Dave normally takes advantage of those. Of course, he had a good qualifying time here and started pretty far in the field, so he might not have. But anyway, he's still out there, and he's in the lead. Kenny Wallace has not made a pit stop as well.
Dave Marcus, a former winner here in the August race in 1976. Dave Marcus drove to victory lane.
I think that means that Dale Earnhardt is almost a lap down. Dave Marcus right behind him. Of course, Dave is yet to make a pit stop. So Earnhardt still in the lead lap, but almost a lap down.
Leading this group of cars. And the 75 car of Morgan Shepherd, although little, if any, aerodynamics of the front end of that car, the Remington Arms machine goes back into competition with Morgan Shepherd aboard. He was involved in an early race incident with Jimmy Spencer.
They're about 50 laps down, and now Jimmy Spencer is coming out of the pits also, Bob.
So at the moment, we have no cars out of the race. Both of those that were involved in the accident have returned to the racetrack. A little bit of tape on the front end of Jimmy's car, but looks a little better aerodynamically than Morgan Shepherd. Dave Marcus continues to lead here, still has not pitted. Jeff Purvis is running alongside him, and he is in 29th position. We'll take another break and be back with more from Talladega in just a moment. He made a pit stop during the early caution and is staying out there. Kenny Wallace, car number 81 on the left of your screen, is now the leader of the race. Dave Marcus was a few minutes ago. He ran out of gas but did make it to the pits. The final round of the Las Vegas Senior Classic continues at 5:30 today. Tommy Ayer and Bob Charles share a one-shot lead with 9 under par, 1 stroke ahead of Hale Irwin. Seniors burn up the desert today following Shop Talk at 5:30 Eastern Time here on ESPN. So Kenny Wallace is the leader of the race. Again, he was one of those who made an early stop.
That's Mike Skinner drafting him there. Mike is being shown in the 40th position, 1 lap down. He, of course, has made his pit stop. So he's hoping that 81 will pit before the caution comes out.
This is the battle for second position now between Jeff Gordon and his teammate Terry Labonte.
Yeah, they really aren't battling, Bob. They're hooked up in a draft. They're trying to pull away. Ernie Irvin is the next car behind them, and just a moment ago he was 2 9/10 seconds behind them, and I've put my trusty stopwatch there, and he's now down to 1 3/4 of a second. So definitely Ernie Irvin with 3 cars on his back bumper. They are gaining on those 2 cars up there running by themselves.
And there is the 3rd member of the Rick Hendrick stable, the 25 car of Ken Schrader, also in this draft. We might tell you Sterling Marlin fans, after that awesome performance of moving up into the lead, but taking on 4 tires and dropping back, he's in 13th position. It's going to be interesting to see if he can come back up.
Yeah, he is coming back up, Bob. As a matter of fact, he was down to about 20th position, but he's already picked off several cars.
Looking back from Michael Waltrip's car to Ken Schrader.
And Sterling Marlin, he's in the 3rd group of cars, but they're gaining on the 2nd group, which is gaining on the 1st group. So we're going to have them all together here pretty quickly. You can see how quickly they're coming back up through there.
And this time, Sterling is using Mark Martin instead of the other way around.
Yeah, so they found a combination. Those 2 cars just seem to work well together.
And a car spinning, you can see from the in-car camera, back up on the banking, that is Jeremy Mayfield.
And the caution is out.
And Lake Speed is also involved with some left side damage on the Spam Melling Ford.
That'll be a break for Kenny Wallace. Great break for Kenny Wallace. Let's go to the pits and John Turner.
Well, I'm just getting an update from the crew. Kenny was going to pit on the very next lap, so talk about luck being on your side. As soon as the caution came out, they all jumped up. But now the question is, does he have enough gas to go around the track until pit road is open so he can come on pit road? So they've got their fingers crossed, hoping that he will not run out of gas, because they were probably another lap green before they would have run out of gas, or at least come close. So we'll see Kenny on pit road just as soon as pit road opens, but what a break for them. This is what they had hoped for.
Well, it's closed right now because the pace car has not picked up the leader. Here's what happened to Jeremy Mayfield. Wally Dallenbach and him running close.
Yes, and they get together, and around goes Mayfield. Let's see how Lake Speed gets involved in the deal. He comes, Mayfield spins up the track right in the path of Lake Speed, and Lake had nowhere to go, nothing he could do but hit him.
Boy, a tough break for Jeremy Mayfield, who has been so very good this year. Here's another perspective. There's the impact.
Good move by Brett Bodine.
Yes.
Boy, he was headed straight towards it, and he saw what was happening, made a square left, and
how close was it? Let's watch from the roof cam. Brett Bodine.
That was closer than Brett wanted to be, I'll guarantee you.
That car was just going around in circles, and somehow Brett missed it. Here's Bill Weber.
Okay, well, they're going to change tires, and they put fuel in. Jeremy Mayfield's left rear quarter panel is flopping around. It's obviously been hit, so they're going to see if they can't find some way to secure that. They go under the car just to check it. They're pulling the sheet metal away from the left rear tire. Now they lower the car, and Jeremy Mayfield's going to roll away. And I'll have an update from you. He's going to go behind the wall, in fact, so they obviously found something that they didn't originally see. So Jeremy Mayfield behind the wall, and we'll walk down here real quick and see if we can't find out.
Bill, while you're doing that, now we wonder if the front runners will come in now. Most of them only took on right side tires. Sterling Marlin took on 4 tires. He's already back up near the front. He's being shown in the 11th position right now, but will the others come in, top that fuel off, and get those left side tires?
Well, we know that Kenny Wallace will be making a pit stop. There he is on the right of your screen, and he's down off the banking onto the apron of the track. And yeah, Gordon and Labonte and others follow him.
Yeah, not a big surprise, really. One thing, they can't afford to give up those how many ever laps they've run since on fuel, since they made those pit stops, but they also need those left side tires. Let's go to the pits.
The leader is in. It'll be a 4-tire change. They're talking about putting a rubber in the right rear. Terry Labonte took on only left side tires. He is headed down pit road. Let's go down to Bill Weber.
And Dale Jarrett's on pit road, changing right side tires. Sterling Marlin away. Rusty Wallace also on pit road. Kenny Wallace on pit road. Jeff Gordon also on pit road. This is fuel. A lot of these guys just took Torque tires last time. We're taking 4 now. Gordon away, Jarrett away, 30 away. The 41 sits in his pit. Lots of traffic down here. And again, the 98 still sits behind the wall.
So a variety of strategy there as Kenny Wallace continues to get that service. Some taking on just left side tires, while some opted to take on 4, and it has not been long since they took on right side tires.
Long pit stop, though, for Kenny Wallace. Everybody coming out and getting relined for a restart of this Winston Select 500. Welcome back to Talladega. We're under caution once again. Looking back on the leader of the race now, Mark Martin. Before the caution, Kenny Wallace was the leader. He had enough fuel to make it into the pits, but it was a very slow pit stop. You see that there's a problem with the air gun. He's banging it on the pavement. Let's go down to John Kernan.
Bob, this is the air wrench that they were using on the front tires, and we talk about lug nut getting jammed. Look at that. That's what it looks like. That's what happened to Kenny Wallace. They can't take another one over the wall, so he had to wait until the work was done on the left rear, and they had to use that lug wrench gun. Now let's go down to Bill Weber, who's with Jeremy Mayfield.
Well, they're working on the RCA Ford. They're going to change the trailing arms. Jeremy Mayfield still sits in the car. Window net's still up. He raises the visor. Jeremy, they're going to work on your car. What happened out there?
I don't really know. It's just a bad situation. We were just trying to hold our own and come out with a good finish today, and just lost it. I don't know what happened.
They had a great car here, tested well, but behind the wall now. Jerry Punch on Dale Earnhardt's situation.
Well, a lengthy pit stop here in the Good Range pits. Let me ask David Smith. David, you guys were under the back of the car. What were you trying to do?
Well, we just unhooked our rear sway bar, Jerry. That just helped free the car up. You know, it worked for us at Daytona pretty good, but it doesn't like it here. So we just unhooked it, and that should make the car a little better for Dale out there now.
They use the rear sway bar to help the car turn in the corners, but the downside, as you heard him say, it makes the car very, very loose. They unhooked it. Maybe it'll improve the Intimidator here at Talladega.
There's team owner Richard Childress as he looks on to this massive facility here in Alabama. We're live for the Winston Select 500, and we'll be right back.
Hi again, everybody. Brett Haber back in the ESPN studios. We're going to get you back to Talladega in just a second, but our chance now to catch you up to date on other auto racing news going on around the country, including the IndyCar race underway at Nazareth, Pennsylvania. At the moment, Paul Tracy is your leader. He set the course record in qualifying, his second pole this season. Michael Andretti of the famous American racing family is in second, currently through 76 laps. Coming up tonight on ESPN, it is our Sunday night baseball game. The Braves and the Cardinals. Tom Glavine's scheduled to pick. Make sure you tune in for that right now. Let's head back to Talladega.
Thank you, Brett, for the update on what's going on in Nazareth. We're here at the Winston Select 500 in Talladega, Alabama, and getting set for a restart. Mark Martin is the leader of the race. He made a pit stop, but a very quick one that's put him up front.
Apparently he only put on left side tires on the Valvoline Ford and got back out very quick. So he is the leader, coming all the way back to 37th position now and leading this race. Okay, once again, Baker's only guess. Yeah. Okay.
In any case, Mark Martin, who was in 9th position before the caution flag, is now in first as we resume the competition. Michael Waltrip is in second spot, followed by Terry Labonte, Sterling Marlin, and Robert Presley, the top 5, and they're at the top of the racetrack.
And you can see some of those cars down on the inside are a lap down. Dick Trickle, Dave Marcus, and the car number 31 of Mike Skinner were all a lap down, and so is Mike Wallace. A lap down. He had made a green flag pit stop. Got him out of sync. Here's Waltrip going for the lead up on the high side.
Mike Waltrip going for the top spot, and he gets it. Just right under the rear spoiler of Waltrip's car. Unbelievable.
Well, he tied himself right in there very close. Mark Martin is an excellent drafter. He knows what it takes. And the closer you can get to the car in front of you, the better it is for both of you as far as speed is concerned. There's Dick Trickle in 19, and Mike Skinner in 31, and Dave Marcus in 71. They're all a lap down. They'd like to get up there and pass those two cars and hope for a caution, then they would get back in the lead lap. Terry Labonte is third. Sterling Marlin is fourth. Robert Presley in there in 5th place. Bobby Labonte was. He's lost a couple of spots.
Now 3 wide once again as Mark Martin gets in the middle momentarily, and Sterling Marlin does make it 3 wide into the corner.
Yeah, Mark's not in the position he wants to be in there right now, but he can't do anything about it until these lap cars get by. Then he can fall in behind them. The cars are in the lead lap. They're going by him on the outside. Here's some cars making some moves down on the inside. Going to make it 3 abreast. Back in the pack.
Terry Labonte goes for the lead on the bottom of the racetrack, and Sterling Marlin will join in behind him to go to second, putting Mike Waltrip back to third. Robert Presley in an impressive performance is fourth.
Mark Martin's going to drop all the way back to about 10th or 12th place in that shuffle.
Rusty Wallace has moved up to 8th position.
And down on the inside, passing the lap car of Mike Skinner, puts him in the middle. Mark Martin going with him. See how close? Ooh. Mark tried to stay there, but once he got up there and got some air, there's Ernie Irvin making a big move down on the inside. He feels some momentum and thinks he can pass some cars. It looks like he's going to be able to do it.
Left side of the tires almost in the grass.
You got to get on the pavement. You got to get on the. He had to back off. He knew that banking was coming up, and he had to get there before he started making a turn.
Dave Marcus just wouldn't give an inch. He was fighting him to the very end. Now Johnny Benson joins Ernie Irvin down low.
Sterling Marlin back out front again.
5 cars breaking away here just a little bit from 6th place Rusty Wallace. There's the interval. Wallace and John Andretti with Mark Martin side by side. John Andretti has had a good run despite the fact that he qualified poorly.
Yes, he's had an excellent run. You know, he ran awfully strong in the Daytona 500.
Yep, sure did.
And they had a miscue in the pits, and then he got back out, and he was a lap down, and perhaps got a little over anxious. But anyway, he got caught up in a wreck and ended his day. Whoops. A little close. A little contact, as a matter of fact, between Dave Marcus and John Andretti.
Now Marcus is a lap down.
Still there, Dick. Hang with him, buddy.
John Kernan with more on John Andretti.
Bob, John Andretti was on RPM tonight last Wednesday, and he told me we're going to run really well. The car may not qualify well, but I tested it earlier this year, and it's not the same car they used at Daytona. They crashed that car, and it was pretty well used up. But he said this car was actually better, felt more comfortable in the draft. And this morning, Tim Brewer, who, you know, he never hedges on anything or might not tell you a story, but he told me, we're just an average car, but John says it feels good. Well, obviously it feels really good right now because they're running really well.
Rusty Wallace making a move on the bottom. He comes up to 3rd now behind Labonte and Marlin.
This is the best we've seen Rusty Wallace run on a restrictor plate track in quite a while. I had a feeling he was going to run good today.
Rusty just put on 2 tires during his most recent pit stop. And now with Mark Martin and others help at the bottom, they could move up to challenge Sterling Marlin. They certainly have done away with Terry Labonte.
Yes, they have. Moved right around Terry, got him up on the high groove, out of the draft, so to speak. And now they move into 2nd and 3rd, he and Mark Martin. And they'll size Sterling Marlin up and see what they can do about putting those Fords back up in front of the Chevrolets as those two 24 and 25 of Rick Hendrick get together. Jeff Gordon and Kenny Schrader, they want to team up together and try to go to the front.
Watching from Michael Waltrip's car, who was the leader, but he's now back in 7th spot. Caught a glimpse of Ernie Irvan back there, also Ricky Rudd.
Rudd's having a good run here today. Now Dale Jarrett and Ernie Irvan have hooked up together. Let's see what that might mean as Rusty goes for the lead.
How about that? Well, Rusty expressed to Dave Despain during our NASCAR Today program that he felt as good as he has ever felt about a race car at a super speedway with this one. And look at the positions being changed on the backstretch. And again, 4 abreast racing into the corner.
Oh, be careful there, guys. Boy, there's a lot of give and take out there. Thank goodness there is. As Dale Jarrett did, he said he and Ernie Irvan were teamed up together, but he blew right on by Ernie down on the inside. And there's Dick Crickle caught in the middle in the car number 19.
Rusty Wallace becomes the 12th leader today. The record is 13, and we're not even close to the halfway point. Once again, the Hendrick cars are 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Here's Earnhardt. He is coming from way back in the pack, too. He's coming up through there. He tags on to Dale Jarrett.
And Bill Weber has a report on Rusty Wallace.
Just an average day at the Super Speedway for the 2 bunch. Gathered around a monitor watching their car lead. I just talked to Robin Pepper. Did anything to the car? Nah, a little bit of air pressure. Took a little bit of wedge out. But they're really thrilled down here. They all got up on the wall and cheered Rusty as he went by last time. Talked to him Friday morning, and as we've all alluded to, he was extremely optimistic about how they would run here. It's not over yet, but he's leading now.
There are 113 laps to go, as a matter of fact. But yes, Rusty Wallace is in the lead with Jeff Gordon running 2nd, and the 75 car, as you can see, is once again back in the garage area. That's Morgan Shepherd, who was involved in an early race accident with Jimmy Spencer. We'll take another break and be right back to Talladega. A very scary moment for Bill Elliott. The car got way off of the ground, got airborne. It came down on all 4s, and Elliott has stopped the car off of corner number 2 in the backstretch. on the inside of the racetrack, and he is waving to everybody. The safety crew has arrived, but look at what happened to Bill Elliott.
Well, you can see he's already off on the grass, Bob. The car gets up in the air, comes down, bounces around, the deck lid flies off of it. There, finally, the roof flap comes up as he turns backwards. Good bit of damage done to the McDonald's Ford, but he perhaps will be able to get it back out there. But that was, you're right, that was a scary moment.
Third caution of the day coming out on lap number 79. Bill Elliott, you'll remember, made up 2 laps under green in 1985 to take the win here. He also won the July race in 1987. Boy, that could have been much more serious than it turned out to be.
Yeah, if the car had started barrel rolling, it really could have been a lot more serious, but fortunately it just sort of bucked around out there a little bit like a bucking horse.
Scary ride, though, for Bill Elliott, I'm sure. Jarred his teeth, I'm sure. Well, the wrecker has arrived at the scene along with the safety crew, and now the pace car, which is out on the track, has the field in tow, and it looks like just about everybody's going to come in.
Yep, heading down pit road.
Rusty Wallace leads them down. Let's go down to John Kernan in Labonte's pit.
Terry Labonte pulls in. They change left side tires. Last pit stop, they go around and work on the right side tires. Last pit stop, also a slight chassis adjustment. Car just a little bit tight, is what Gary Dehart told me. They're already waiting. Now they're coming around. Rusty's in. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Gas and go for Rusty Wallace. So he's already returned. In front of him is the 18. In front of him the 12. Down to Jerry Punch.
Last time it was a gas and go for Mark Martin. This time they will change right side tires and gas it off as he is down pit road. Right side's only for Mark Martin.
Big movement out of the pits. Ernie Irvin comes out. Close call there between Derek Cope and, I believe, Hut Strickland, as Derek was trying to get in the exit lane. John Andretti, one of the last to come out, along with Jeff Purvis. That's Bill Elliott's arm there out of the car.
Yeah, he had taken his helmet off a little bit earlier. I believe he's trying to come out.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just waiting, but at least his arm is moving around. And
here it is once again. Watch the right side here. We pan back and catch Elliott's car way up in the air. It gets over on the right corner and amazingly doesn't come over.
Yeah, that is amazing, Bob, and it fortunately lands back on its 4 wheels. Don't know what happened that started that accident that got him headed out into the grass.
Well, in any case, we will check on the condition of Bill Elliott. He appears to be not seriously injured. And we'll be back with more of our racing in just a moment. Stay with us. We're back at Talladega. Our concern is for Bill Elliott. Boy, the most popular driver in NASCAR Winston Cup competition, has thousands and thousands of fans. Now here is the shot from the grandstand here on the main straightaway toward the back straight. You can see the car lift off the ground and how high it gets airborne and then slams down on all 4s.
Yeah, Bob, he came out of a pack of cars there coming off of turn 2, so you can pretty well rest assured that he probably got tapped as he came off of that turn. And as we pointed out before, the car really gets airborne, but it does come back down on all 4. That's got to be hard on Bill's back and neck there a little bit, though, making a hard landing like that. And that might be, that's just pure speculation on my part, that maybe he's a little sore. Or
looks like they're going to take the windshield off of the car, and I thought I saw the jaws of life there that they may cut the top off the car. I don't know that for sure, but anyway, they are working very hard to get him out of the car. We did see his hand and arm come out of the car, and we saw his head moving around, so let's hope that it is not a real serious injury to Bill Elliott, who has crashed here on the backstretch during the Winston Select 500. We'll take another break and be back in just a moment. ESPN Speed World coverage of the Winston Select 500 is being brought to you by Western Auto. Western Auto and Western Auto's Parts America are the official auto parts store of NASCAR. By McDonald's, on the track and in our restaurants, just watch us cook. and by the NASCAR Story. To order, call 800-71-NASCAR. The driver of the McDonald's Ford, Bill Elliott, has had a crash here. They have got the windshield out of the car. He is still in the machine, however, but we do not believe he's seriously injured. Jerry, do you have an update?
Well, Bob, we're sitting down in the McDonald's pit. Much of the McDonald's crew now is headed back to the garage area or even to the hospital to try to check on Bill Elliott. But before they left a moment ago, a couple of crew members told me that apparently Bill Elliott said that when the car came to rest, he did pull his own helmet off, and the rescue workers wanted to take the roof of the car off, and Bill said, no, I don't think we need to take the roof of the car off, just take the windshield out. Apparently, Bill is complaining of some pain in the low back and his left hip area. And the way the car came down so drastically from in the air, you got to believe that's a pretty solid lick because those seats don't have much cushion at all.
Yeah, that's the way that it looked from our perspective. Here he comes.
That's his race car. He didn't want to cut the top off that thing.
Absolutely.
They didn't have to, and I don't blame him because that would ruin the race car.
He is in obvious pain as they started to lift him out, but they did not get him all the way out of the car. Well, we're going to continue to monitor the situation and give you the latest information as it becomes available to us from here at Talladega. Be right back.
Hi again, everybody. Brett Haber back in the ESPN studios. We will get you back to Talladega momentarily and update you on the condition of Bill Elliott. But first, the NBA playoffs underway. Of course, many people predicting the Magic and Bulls set to face off in an Eastern Conference Final showdown. First, though, the Magic do have to get by the Detroit Pistons. We check out Game 2. Pistons not looking good in Game 1. Doug Collins trying to pep them up, but they didn't listen. Penny, no good. Shaq there for the rebound. Nobody puts a body on him. Orlando up 7 early, but the Pistons not about to give up in the second half. It's Otis Thorpe going one-on-one against Horace Grant. The one-handed hook in the lane goes. Pistons take the lead for the first time by 1, but Orlando in the fourth pulling away. Penny and Shaq, it's a two-man game. Penny leaves it for his little buddy, and the big finish. Final score 92-77. Magic take a 2-game lead. Shaq 29. That's a game high 13 of 19 from the floor. If you're keeping track of golf, the seniors in Vegas, Tommy Aaron, Bob Charles came in tied for the lead. They are still tied for the lead through 2 holes. Coverage begins on ESPN at 5:30 Eastern Time. And if you're watching the IndyCar, Michael Andretti has the lead. Paul Tracy hit one of his crew members in the pits. We'll keep you up to date on that right now. Back to Talladega.
And at Talladega, we are still under caution. Bill Elliott is out of the car. He's being loaded into the ambulance and will, of course, go first to the local facility, and then, if need be, they will take him on to a more permanent facility. And we will get an update on Bill Elliott's condition as it becomes available to us. But in the meantime, we will take the opportunity to bring you some information in a Track Fact. And Track Facts are brought to you by Quaker State, the motor oil that exceeds the highest standards for engine protection.
One of the primary concerns at restrictor plate racetracks is heat. Now, heat is caused inside the engine when you have a limited amount of air and even more limited fuel. That's how you get all the horsepower. Now, even though they've reduced the compression to 14-1, in order to get the horsepower, you still have to have a lot of heat in the motor. What I'm showing you right here is the inside of a piston that came out of Sterling Marlin's Daytona 500 car, the car that was going for 3 Daytona 500s in a row. You see how the whole inside has been scorched or burnt? All up in front of the pin towers, it is completely black. That's how hot that motor got. Now, on the upper side of the piston, you see across here, you can barely see that white mark. That is a crack in the piston. Now, to fix that, you have to add either more metal to the piston to act as a heat sink. You can't put metal on top, so they put metal underneath here at the pin towers. More metal means more weight and less horsepower, but it's one way to counteract the heat here on a restrictor plate racetrack.
And we have seen a lot of burned pistons in restrictor plate racing in the past. More so this year, more so in the past than this year. However, Sterling Marlin had a problem at Daytona. But the fact that they reduced, that's one thing that NASCAR was trying to do when they reduced the compression ratio, was to try to cut out some of those burned pistons that we were seeing after pit stops or after caution flags in the past.
Caution still out here at Talladega because of a crash involving Bill Elliott. We will be going green before too long. Come back with us.
Welcome back to Talladega. 85 laps on the board. Rusty Wallace is the race leader, waiting for the green flag to come back out, and we'll go back to racing. And when we do, look for the possibility of the 2 and the 6 hooking up. In fact, Rusty Wallace just thanked Mark Martin for helping him get back to the front of the field. When they're together, They might be the fastest two on the track. They're not teammates, but they're working together. Green flag out, racing back at Talladega.
They are first and fifth as the green flag comes out. Rusty Wallace is the leader. In second position is Ward Burton. Third, Ricky Rudd. Fourth, Jeff Gordon. And in fifth position is Mark Martin. Rusty has now led 6 of the last 7 races. He is second in laps led this year next to Jeff Gordon.
And not up there among the front runners is Sterling Marlin, who was, but he came into the pits as they were coming around to get the one-to-go signal, topped off with fuel. Boy, that is showing a tremendous amount of confidence, he and the crew, that they don't mind going to the back one more time. They've come from back to the front already, so they feel they can do it again. Now we'll see how far back he is after making that pit stop. Looking on back.
That was Johnny Benson in the yellow car. Let's look for the next yellow car.
There he is, right behind Robert Preston. He's a long way back, but he's got a fast race car.
He's back in 28th position at the moment. 28th for Sterling Marlin. Drafting partner right now is Robert Presley. Sean Kernan has a preliminary report on the condition of Bill Elliott.
Well, I just talked to his crew chief, Mike Bean, who was here at the infield care center when they brought Bill in, and Mike walked by and said injured hip, possibly a broken hip. So Bill Elliott is undergoing examination right now in the care center, and we'll update you further as soon as we find out. But preliminary indications of possible broken hip.
All right, we will stay with that story throughout the afternoon and give you any information that becomes available to us. Meanwhile, on the racetrack, Jeff Gordon coming 3 wide at the start-finish line below the 71 car of Dave Marcus.
Remember, Dave is a lap down. He did not make a pit stop during this last caution.
Martin leads the second line down low with Michael Waltrip and Steve Grissom behind him. And from his perspective, he goes under Terry Labonte. And here's a Fram field summary. Rusty Wallace, the leader, started 15th. And the 98 car of Jeremy Mayfield, which crashed several laps ago, is 27 laps down, but he is back in competition, or at least is back out on pit road.
And here's another 3 wide. Going into turn 1, Michael Waltrip leading Steve Grissom and Dale Jarrett through there. Dave Marcus there, able to hang right with them as.
So Ward Burton has taken over the advantage now, leading the others down the backstretch. Jeff Gordon tucked in behind him.
Mark Martin slingshotting to the inside there. Ward Burton was very concerned when he came here Friday that his car just in the first practice session, it didn't get the speed out of it that he wanted, and then went out and qualified in the 19th position, and here he is leading the race.
And Bill Weber has more.
Well, 2 Sundays ago, Ward Burton missed the race at North Wilkesboro, so he went home to Virginia and spent his Sunday plowing his field. Last week, he missed Martinsville and spent all day with a chainsaw. Now, this Sunday, he's leading the Winston Select 500. But after he missed both those races, now Jeff Gordon works back in front. When Ward missed both those races, he spent 2 hours outside the track signing autographs at his souvenir rig, then went home and did fan club work Saturday night to keep his fans happy. Now he's trying to keep his sponsor happy, but the 6 and the 5 might have something to say about that.
And that's how quickly you can lose the lead. Ward is already back to 4th position as a battle for 5th behind him is between Schrader and Mark Martin.
Jeff Gordon back out front once again and has the lap car of Dave Marcus, who is hanging right in there with those guys.
And Rusty Wallace is on the low side once again. Rusty probably looking for Mark and maybe vice versa. Yeah, look at this. Mark moves down right in front of Rusty and they draft together.
They had a good combination earlier in the race. Earnhardt up on the outside of Rusty Wallace there. But is Rusty close enough to, now Earnhardt gets in there. He wants to behind, no, he don't want behind Mark Martin. He wants to go by him. He has the momentum and look at him, just motor by down on the inside.
And Michael Waltrip tries to gain the position also, but cannot do it. Dale Earnhardt has, however, moved to 4th spot. position, but this is his first time on Talladega Superspeedway.
There are 34 cars being shown on the lead lap, and a couple of those cars, Bob, we saw them get lapped on the racetrack. Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Bodine in the first long green flag run. Well, they had made pit stops at about 10 laps, so they didn't have to stop when the others did. When the others did stop, they got back in the lead lap.
Earnhardt took a look to the inside of Ward Burton, but decided to drop back behind him. And now it's a 6-car, make that 7-car draft. Meanwhile, back in 23rd position, hasn't moved up quite as quickly as he did earlier, but he is indeed coming to the front.
Hasn't passed as many cars as he did earlier, Bob, but I think distance-wise, I think he has. He was pretty far back when we saw him there a moment ago, and boy, he has drafted up there pretty quickly on these guys.
The next time they come by, they'll receive the cross flag signal from Doyle Ford indicating the halfway mark.
$10,000 Gatorade money.
That's right, and Jeff Gordon is among those eligible for the money. Look at Marlin's lap times compared to Jeff Gordon's. They're consistently faster.
Yeah, at least a half a second a lap, sometimes more than that. And here comes Terry Labonte. He wants that $10,000. Earnhardt wants it too. Who's going to get it?
Nope, Labonte got it.
Terry Labonte, 3 feet for the lead going into turn 1.
The battle for $10,000 and the halfway mark goes to Terry Labonte, but now Dale Earnhardt puts himself ahead of the field. And once again, Dale
Jarrett back off.
And
thank you, Mike Skinner, for backing off.
Whoa.
About to cause a big wreck.
That was as close as you can come at more than 190 miles an hour.
They are getting on with it here at Talladega.
Halfway, 93 more laps to go. It's Dale Earnhardt now in front of the Winston Select 500 at Talladega with Labonte second. Back at Talladega, Alabama, it's Dale Earnhardt, followed by Mark Martin, and Indy Cars, Formula One, of course, NASCAR Winston Cup, all in action today. And Kenny Mayne will have the rundown for you at 7 o'clock tonight on RPM tonight over on ESPN2. And then, of course, don't forget the Monday through Friday edition with John Kernan. That's also at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. RPM tonight. They're still racing out there, Ned.
Yes, 3 abreast again. Rusty Wallace leading a charge back there.
Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace, Ted Musgrave, all involved in this battle here that we're watching. John Andretti is in there, so is Brett Bodine.
That's anywhere from about 14th back to 21st and along in that area.
An update on the condition of Bill Elliott from John Kernan.
Well, Bob, Bill Elliott has now left the infield care center. They've taken him by ambulance to a helicopter. They will transport him to Caraway Hospital in Birmingham. His left hip apparently dislocated, and they would hope to put it back in joint. Or maybe Dr. Jimmy Punch could explain a little bit better than I could, but they hope to do it this afternoon at the Caraway Hospital. Once again, the hip not broken, dislocated the left hip for Bill Elliott. Other than that, he's perfectly conscious, and he's fine. Jerry?
Well, you hope the dislocation is simply a traumatic twisting of the hip, but unfortunately dislocations can also mean fractures. They don't have x-ray available to them here in the infield care center because it takes too long to get an x-ray, and they're primarily here to stabilize. So if the hip is dislocated, you got to hope it is a pure dislocation and not a fracture, but they'll find out when he lands at Caraway Medical Center there in Birmingham.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed that it's only a dislocation for Bill Elliott, who is one of the great competitors in this series. Well, Jeff Gordon is being shuffled to the back, isn't he?
Yeah, and Dale Jarrett got on the inside of him going into turn 1, and some others followed through. Bobby Labonte went on the outside. Johnny Benson followed Jarrett through, but now Ernie Irvan making a big move there, passing a couple of cars.
Well, let's give a call to Johnny Benson, the 30 car with a great run, his first in a Winston Cup car here at Talladega. He has been in 2 Busch Grand National races. on this racetrack. And the Kodak car of Sterling Marlin has caught this group, and he's now up to 15th.
Yeah, by the time almost by the time that we get that graphic up there, or do we see the scoreboard, well, he's even moving up more. He is coming to the front again. He has a tremendously strong race car here today.
Looking back from Ken Schrader's car onto Mike Skinner on the right, and that's Steve Grissom in the Wacky Racing Cartoon Network car. And there's Johnny Benson. Now, Benson's finishes in Busch Grand National competition here at Talladega were 38th and 5th. And now let's take a look at our Busch race recap. Since we have gone past the halfway mark, the leader, Dale Earnhardt, 11 of 99 laps led, 18 lead changes. The record is 75. We're not close to the record there. We've had 3 cautions for a total of 19 laps. The average speed 146.580. Taking a look now at the 13 drivers who have led a lap and picked up 5 bonus points. Sterling Marlin and Jeff Gordon have both led 18, and the 13 different leaders that we have had tie a record here at Talladega. So we're not close to the record as far as lead changes are concerned, but we could very well break the record for different leaders. There you see LaBonnie Hamilton and Ward Burton have also been given credit for leading a lap. And 2 cars out of the race, Morgan Shepherd because of the crash early on, and Bill Elliott's most recent accident over on the backstretch. The birthday boy is leading this Winston Select 500. Dale Earnhardt will be 45 tomorrow. Here at Talladega, 7 wins, 17 top 5s, 21 top 10s, and a total of 1,061 laps led. And if he leads a total of 36 laps today, Dale Earnhardt will break the record that is currently held by Buddy Baker of number of laps led at this facility.
Boy, Dale Jarrett got a run off of turn 2, went from 5th up to 2nd. Right up on the back bumper of Dale Earnhardt. Ward Burton was helping him come through there, so that might be a drafting combination, that Pontiac of Ward Burton and the Ford of Dale Jarrett.
Well, we haven't seen much from Dale Jarrett here of recent time, but now he is up there battling with the leaders once again. Bill Weber has a report.
Well, Dale Jarrett's car still is not exactly where he wants it. It's better, but he's still having to let up when he goes through the turns. He's having a handling problem, cannot get it through the turns as well as he would like. His crew just told me if we can get that figured out, nobody's going to catch us.
Well, both Yates cars now back up to the front behind Dale Earnhardt. And the 12 car of Derek Cope will give a call to him as he has stayed right up there with the front runners. He's currently in 11th position up on top of the racetrack.
Very high up there, running behind Bobby Labonte. Bobby in the green car, the Joe Gibbs Interstate Battery Chevrolet.
Now Earnhardt has them lined up 2 by 2 behind him, and that's not good for those running behind him.
No, Earnhardt likes that for them to be running 2 by 2, but it looks like that outside lane might be about to come by.
Yep. Being led by Mark Martin. Martin takes the lead off of corner number 2.
Jarrett decides he wants to go on that outside lane.
Rusty Wallace is mired back in the traffic.
Ernie Irvin caught in the middle there. Ricky Rudd on the outside, and Rusty Wallace coming down on the inside.
And a side-by-side battle off of corner number 4 into the tri-oval. It's Dale Earnhardt leading the inside line and Mark Martin leading the outside line. Here they come down through the tri-oval. Earnhardt will get credit for leading that lap, but it was a matter of inches.
Well, Dale Jarrett decided he wanted to go back to the low side. He can't make his mind up whether he wants to run high or low.
And look at Johnny Benson. Good run by Johnny beside Terry Labonte. And again, with the 2 by 2, it gives Earnhardt an opportunity to pull away momentarily, at least.
Riding with Michael Waltrip in the sit-go forward.
And there is the helicopter that's taking Bill Elliott to the hospital in Birmingham to check for at least a dislocation, a possible fracture of the hip. Jarrett 3 wide again, down into 1. This is a 31-car pack. 31 cars in this. And they're 4 wide in the middle of the corner. And Schrader wisely backed out a little.
Yeah, that was smart.
Look at this, 31 cars. Unbelievable.
All of those that are on the lead lap were all of the Darrell Walton. Here's Ernie going down, making it 3 wide.
Down to the inside of Dick Trickle. And look at Derek Cope up on the high side of the racetrack. Going around Johnny Benson. So it's Earnhardt leading with Terry Labonte, and you call it from there on back as we are 106 laps into the Winston Select 500. Welcome back to Talladega. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Ned Jarrett, Jerry Punch, Bill Weber, and John Kernan. Benny Parsons not with us today, a little bit under the weather. BP, we'll see you hopefully next weekend at Sears Point Raceway in Sonoma, California, when we're bringing you the first of 2 road races in the Winston Cup Series.
Here we're coming up on Darrell Walton. As I mentioned a moment ago that Darrell had gotten back on the lead lap, but now he's about to go a lap down. He's running in the 34th position.
And the top 14 were strung out side, or rather nose to tail here, and they remain pretty much that way. It's Dale Earnhardt leading Terry Labonte, Michael Waltrip, Mark Martin, and Ward Burton. Our snapshot on Dale Earnhardt shows that he has led 21 laps. His low has been 34th, and that's as low as you can go, and his highest has been the lead, where he currently runs. Started in 16th.
Right at the back of this pack is Derek Cope. We saw him a moment ago back in the traffic spot, but he has come up through several cars. There he is on the outside, and Jeff Gordon makes a move down on the inside. It looks like Steve Griffin's going to try to go, but Cope is having a great run. His car apparently works good up on the high side, so he doesn't have anybody up there working with him, but he's just going right along. That's strong.
Every time you look to corner 4 in this pack, you see that car way up high. He's been higher than that at some time, so apparently the main and tail Ford is working for him up in that area.
We're looking for some additional sponsorship on that car number 12, Bobby Allison Motorsports car. It'd be great to see them get it. In fact, the main and tail people, Straight Arrow Company, are trying to help find some more sponsorship for that car.
88 on his main and 24 on his tail right now, but now he moves alongside the 88 coming out of the second corner.
And Dale Jarrett's going to be caught down on the inside with nobody. No, he's not going to be caught that long. He jumped up in front of Sterling Marlin. Now Marlin's going to try to go by on the inside. But there's Jimmy Spencer in car number 23. And we understand the 30 car of Johnny Benson might be having a problem, Bill.
Ned, they're on the wall down here. Johnny's radioed in. He might have a tire going down. He's got a vibration problem. Can't figure out which tire it is. They're standing on the wall, waiting to see if Benson goes by or if indeed he comes down pit road. He's going to come into the pit, so this will really hurt Johnny Benson making his rookie run. He coasts down pit road, heading for his stall about 1/3 of the way down. He brings the Pennzoil Pontiac into the pits. The crew off the wall. They swing around to the right side. They were planning to change all 4 because Johnny couldn't tell him which one he thought was flat. So they'll fuel him up, change 4 tires, and send the Pennzoil back out. Pennzoil Pontiac will return to the track.
And there's problems. Dave Marcus has spun and backed into the inside retaining wall on the backstretch.
And in just about the same location that Bill Elliott crashed in a few laps ago.
And boy, this is going to be a tough break for Johnny Benson. He hurries down pit road. Of course, you can't hurry too much. If he can get to that line before the leaders do, he can stay in the lead lap, but he isn't going to be able to do it. Tough break for Johnny Benson. Maybe he will.
Yes, he will.
He did.
Wow.
He got to that line first, so he'll stay in the lead lap.
So he'll not only stay in the lead lap, but he's completed the pit stop, and everybody else will have to come in now.
He
Or
could
will
be
come
in the lead.
Yeah.
Probably will be in the lead. Wow, what a
So
break.
unless he violated the speed limit on pit road, and we don't know that right now. We'll wait and see. There's the crash car of Dave Marcus. The window net is down. He apparently is okay, and here is the replay. Watch right.
Well, he comes out of a pack of cars there, apparently some contact. Down on the inside, you see one of the roof flaps is already up, and the car stays on the ground and backs into the inside retaining wall, and the front end gets, when it slings it around, the front end gets a lick also.
Those spotters down there, Ned, that we saw with
there are spotters. On this racetrack, they have more than one spotter because the guy who's up in the high position on the main grandstand side of the racetrack, he simply can't see as far away as it is to be able to make judgment calls on whether your driver's cleared another car or something like that.
Guess what, Ned? Benson violated the speed limit.
Oh.
That is too bad.
Yeah, if they just bring him in and hold him 15 seconds or something like that,
yep.
that'll be okay.
It's better than losing a whole lap, that's for sure.
Even if they put him at the rear of the field,
yep.
It'd be better than that.
So he was really wise to do that. There it is. He's out right now, crossing the line as the field comes down to get the caution flag. There it is.
The field, and we understand that the penalty would be that he'd go to the rear of the longest line, so that's still better than going left down.
Here's John Kernan in Labonte's pit.
Terry Labonte slows it down. He'll pull into pit road. The crew will go to service, hand him a nice big drink of water, clean the windshield, right side tires going. Let's go to Bill Weber and Sterling Marlin's pit.
Whip around to the right side of the Kodak Film Chevrolet. They'll change right side tires and gas up Sterling Marlin. What an excellent run he's had. It's got to be a 2-tire change. They're waiting simply on fuel down at Jerry Punch.
And they've already completed right side tires on the Goodrich Chevrolet. Left side tires going on. Marlin is down and away as he exits pit road. 21 is down and away. Earnhardt is down and away. Here goes Presley. And Gordon is out. I think the car number 28 still working on the left side of Ernie Irvin's car. Problems with the left front tire. They're holding the car on the jack. Now he's finally off the jack. And a problem with Ernie Irvin as Kyle Petty way out on the grass exiting pit road.
Yeah, Kyle had to take evasive action and get way down there in the grass to avoid hitting someone as they came out. Now only a couple of cars remain on pit road while Dave Marcus's car is on the back of a hook headed for the garage area. Dave, the victim of the most recent accident here at Talladega. Welcome back to Talladega and the Winston Select 500, which has now gone 116 laps under caution here because of an incident involving Dave Marcus. Let's try to find out what happened as they came off the second corner.
Okay, he's in there. You see where the light spot is on your screen. That's the group that he's running with as he came off of turn 2. And there he goes sideways, down, just shoots out of the pack, down onto the grass area. You see the roof flap come up, spins around on the grass, and then hits the inside retaining wall. Too bad for Dave. He's having a good run here today, although he was a lap down. He ran out of gas early in the race after leading for a while, but he was having one of his better runs.
Brett Bodine was right behind him. Let's see how it looked from Brett's perspective.
Well, there was a red car between Jeff Burton and Jeff Burton might have hit that red car.
Hit the front end a little bit.
I think it was Jeff Burton, Ed, that may have tapped him. They are working on the front end of Jeff's car on pit road. It definitely was Jeff that had contact with Dave.
You can see there is quite a bit of damage to the front end of Jeff's car.
All right, still under caution here as they clean up the area in the backstretch. You're watching live coverage of the Winston Select 500. We'll be right back. Getting set for a restart, Michael Waltrip is at the front of the field. Let's look more closely at this accident. Ned, good eyes here.
Well, I saw a red car up in front of it. This is the blue car is Jeff Burton. And here comes Brett Bodine, and you see right there is the hit. And it's Rick Mast that is in front of Jeff Burton. And Burton hit Mast after Mast apparently made contact with Dave Marcus.
Yep. So it was not Jeff Burton that had the direct contact with Rick Mast. It was, or rather with Dave Marcus, it was Rick Mast.
Okay.
All right, now we get set for a restart here. The line is forming. Michael Waltrip is at the front. We have an AutoZone on-track interval for you. Waltrip and Earnhardt. Look at the difference. 32.9 for Waltrip and 42.6 for Earnhardt.
I'm going to speculate that there was a difference in it. We saw Earnhardt change 4 tires, and maybe Michael only took on 2 tires. not belittling their pit stop at all. They made a great pit stop to get out in front of the pack.
Pace car pulls off.
As you can see, there are only 4 cars that are laps down. In fact, they're just one lap down. The 31, 19, 17, and 90 are 1 lap down.
Green is waving. Back to racing. Michael Waltrip's best finish here at Talladega came in May of 1994. He was 3rd and has the Wood Brothers Citgo Ford at the front of the field right now. And we look back on Terry Labonte from his perspective. There are 70 laps to go in this one. And a tightly bunched field of cars comes out of corner number 2, building up steam down the backstretch. Here comes Sterling Marlin to the inside with Steve Grissom right behind him.
Steve Grissom's had a good run here today in the car 29. He's hung right up in there in that top 15 or so.
Shown in 9th position now. Mike Skinner and Robert Presley are side by side. Skinner is not on the lead lap in the 31 car, but Robert Presley is on the lead lap. He is in 4th spot.
There's still 31 cars on the lead lap. We might be in for a record here as far as number of cars finishing on the lead lap.
This is where it gets a little tense. We're past the halfway point. Drivers are ready to make their moves, but the racing is very tight. Dale Jarrett picks up a spot there. Although the draft is important, Ned, we've seen a lot of unassisted passing this afternoon, it seems like.
Well, we have, but it has come as a result of the draft.
Yeah.
They pick up momentum behind a couple of other cars and just slingshot right past them is what happens. Look here, they're 4 wide. Sterling Marlin, he might have enough horsepower to not even have to need the slingshot. Dale Jarrett right behind him. That's helping him.
Good job, buddy. Good job.
Got Earnhardt in the middle there.
Might we see a resurgence of the slingshot, Ned, with the lower compression engines?
Well, yes, but it takes more than one car to do it. It used to be that Cale Yarborough made it so famous winning Daytona 500 by running second, getting the white flag, and then slingshotting past on the last lap. But you can't do that now with just 2 cars out there running by themselves. Sure as I say that, they'll do it at the end of the race. But
now Terry Labonte to the inside with Robert Presley, Dale Earnhardt, and others make the challenge, and Terry Labonte in the inside line go to the front. Cranfield summary for you, where your driver was running last lap.
Ernie Irvan making a move. He's trying to slingshot past somebody. Got Rusty Wallace helping him back there to go past Jeff Bodine. Jeff Bodine in the middle there.
And there is Wally Dallenbach also in that group. Dallenbach in the blue car on the low side. Wally with a good run after an excellent run at Daytona. And we'll see him, I'm sure, as one of the favorites next weekend when we go to the road course at Sears Point in Sonoma, California.
Kenny Wallace there near the end of this pack. He led the race for a while as a result of staying out longer than others and had made an early pit stop, a fuel stop, and stayed out and led the race. Then got a break with the caution, but he had a problem in the pits, and they wound up at the rear of the field, but he's still out there on the lead lap. Ernie Irvan trying to make some more moves. There's Kenny Wallace in the 81 car, the Square D Ford.
Back up front, it's Terry Labonte, followed by Dale Earnhardt. Last year's pole winner here at Talladega, Terry Labonte, has led 28%, or had led 28% of the laps on super speedways going into this event. He is currently 5th in the point standings. Terry Labonte, the Iron Man of NASCAR Winston Cup competition. Sterling Marlin 3rd, Dale Jarrett 4th, Robert Presley is 5th.
There's Ernie Irvin again. Every time we see him on that backstretch, he's pulling out and passing some cars. Or trying to.
He's behind Ward Burton, who is behind Steve Grissom, who's behind Bobby Hamilton. And Rudd got way up high there in the corner in the Tide machine. Now Sterling Marlin looked to the inside of Dale Earnhardt coming into the tri-oval and will make a bid for the lead. He's got Dale Jarrett behind him.
Yep, he pulled down there hoping Jarrett would go with him. Sure enough, Jarrett did. Shuffles Earnhardt back. Now Jarrett going to try to go on the inside of Labonte as well. He has the momentum and takes the position.
Dale Jarrett going for the Winston Million. If he wins here today, it's a check for $100,000, but he doesn't cash it yet. He waits until Charlotte and Darlington to see if he can win another one, in which case he would be paid $1 million. Of course, it's only been done once by Bill Elliott in 1985. And Ken Schrader, we understand, has a problem. He was just waving the cars by him.
Sounds like the engine might have gone awry on the car. Well,
he was running in 18th position, Ken Schrader was. He's down on the apron now, entering pit road in the Bud machine.
Well, maybe he geared it down, so maybe it isn't the engine. Maybe it's had a flat or something. I don't know. He's coming into the pits.
Here's Bill Weber.
Schrader's here, reported a vibration to his crew. They swing around to the right side. They'll fuel the Budweiser Chevy. Ken Schrader got his first win here at Talladega. Was hoping to get another one today. They've changed the 2 right side tires. They're going to come around and make a 4-tire change to make sure that now it's just a 2-tire change. Leaders on the going into 3. Knew the leaders were coming. Heads back out.
I think they also took a look at the tires on the right side and said, they're okay, Kenny. So we got the problem corrected. Here come the pack off of the 4th corner. He's going to be able to stay on the lead lap, but these cars are at full speed, and Schrader has got a long way to go before he's at full speed.
Yeah, it takes a long time to get that speed up, so I think Kenny, unfortunately, will go a lap down because they'll catch him before he gets his speed up.
Jeff Purvis there in the 44 car on the left side of your screen. He has stayed in the lead lap all day and doing a great job. They're black flagging the 25 car.
Wonder if he might have been exited pit road a little bit too fast.
I bet so.
Well, he's going a lap down there right now.
And he's moving up on the track to allow the faster cars to go by him. And this isn't a great opportunity for him to come into the pits and heed the black flag. So he'll go around at least one more time.
At least 32 cars on the lead lap.
Mark Martin up on the high side of the racetrack. Now racing alongside of Jeff Gordon. Positions changing every lap. It's anybody's race. No car certainly has shown a domination of this race. Sterling Marlin is the driver up front right now. We'll be right back. A bad crash here at Talladega. Just a very, very bad crash. Mark Martin is involved. So is Rusty Wallace, Brett Bodine, Elton Sawyer. One car overturned in the banking of turn number 1, got up into the catch fence and came back onto the racetrack. I don't know who it was at the moment, but this is a very, very ugly looking crash.
Boy, it just, once it went into that turn, once it started, Bob, there's Ricky Rudd. He was involved. You see a lot of damage to his cars. The cars were running so close together. And once this thing started, I mean, it was just everybody getting involved. Derek Cope, as you say, he was involved. He's trying to get his car back around.
Here it is again. Take a look. It's going to happen up front with Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin running side by side.
Okay, Martin goes a little high there. Gordon gets into him. They both have to back off, and then the jamming up starts. And they get into the wall on the outside. Others start jockeying around. There's Derek Cope. He thought he got through that for just a moment, but Mark Martin's going to come right back up in front of him. And is that Ricky Craven?
Yes, it is.
Ricky Craven in car number 41 that's flipping over, went up against the outside wheel fence, back down on the track, and was hit again.
Yeah, he got hit again as the car was rolling toward the apron of the racetrack. So Ricky Craven is certainly one that we have a great deal of concern about. Jeff Gordon is okay. He's climbed out of his car, although it's damaged very badly. But boy, Ricky Craven really took a horrible, horrible ride. Very reminiscent of Phil Parsons' crash a few years ago.
Yes, it was. Okay, here they are. Gordon trying to go on the outside of Mark Martin. They make a little contact, and it sort of shoots Martin out into the wall. Then Gordon comes up, gets tagged, and spins around. And Ricky Craven right in the middle of it. His car gets airborne. You can see it flipping up to the outside wall, just coming apart, and then is hit down on the inside by Elton Sawyer. It looks like the car number 27.
Ricky Craven may be out of the car. We'll confirm that in a moment. Here it is from Mark Martin's car.
Okay, Mark just riding along. Everything looking great as Terry Labonte goes by on the outside. And Mark starts to move up here, not realizing that Jeff Gordon is coming up on the outside of him. And then he gets into the wall, slams down under the inside, and boy, it breaks loose.
He made pretty heavy contact with Ward Burton. Let's look at it again.
See just how fast it happens.
Man.
Tony Irvin was involved.
And within a matter of 5 or 6 seconds, the whole thing can unfold. There they're removing some of the debris and throwing it over the crash wall. You can see the retaining fence there is rather damaged. That's where Ricky Craven flew up into it. It did its job, however, and threw the car right back onto the racetrack. Now there is Rusty Wallace's car, and his day apparently has come to an end, and a very big disappointment for him, as of course is the case with all these drivers. But Mark Martin had come from the back of the field to challenge for the lead. There's Ricky Rudd's badly damaged Tide Ford. The 22 car of Ward Burton took a heck of a shot from Mark Martin as Mark lost control and slid across in front of the field. The 44 car of Jeff Purvis, who had stayed on the lead lap all day. And there is the QVC Ford of Jeff Bodine that they're trying to salvage and get back into the race. We anticipate a red flag because there may be some damage up in turn number 1 that has to be fixed before we can go back to full speed racing. We'll be back in just a moment. As you can see, the red flag has been displayed. The cars have come to a stop at the top of the banking here in the Tri-Oval. The reason, a multi-car and very, very bad looking crash in turn number 1. John Kernan is with Rusty Wallace.
And Rusty, what a wild ride out there for a lot of people, but fortunately you're okay, but your car is not. Did you see it happen before you, or did it just happen so fast you couldn't tell what was going on?
It just happened real fast, and it was just 3-wide racing going on in turn 1. It's just unfortunate. I mean, we're doing it out there, but it's not really the right way to do it. It's unfortunate. Man, my car was flying today. It run good. We led for a while. I got back in the back. We were making some chassis adjustments, and the car was good. Best one I ever had, but it's too bad it happened. But I don't think I've ever seen that many cars tore up down in turn 1 or 2. It's a bad deal. But cars getting clipped on the inside, clipped on the outside. Pretty aggressive drivers out there.
That happens when you have a bunch of packs like this and everybody pretty much equal, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, this particular type of racing, it's inevitable. I've been in a bunch of crashes, you know, and I thought today was one I could get out of. I think like every single race I've been in, there's always something that goes on. But same thing, we all are going for that same coveted spot or trying to go for that little hole. And when you go 3 wide in turn 1, a lot of times it doesn't work.
Well, that's Rusty Wallace. He is okay, but his car is damaged quite severely, but his crew is working on it, and they may try and get him back out there just to run some laps for points.
Well, we have an even more dramatic angle of this crash, Ned, and you can see Craven's car overturn there and fly up and then down the banking with several cars underneath as the car overturned in the air and came to the rest of the bank.
5 cars went underneath him as when he hit that outside wheel fence on top of the cement wall, and it threw it back across the racetrack, crossed over 5 cars.
Now from Brett Bodine's in-car camera.
Just listen.
We're in it, Donnie. We're in it. You can do anything. Okay, about? Right in the middle of turns 1 and 2, and I'll keep you posted. I'll get my glasses up.
And now from Mark Martin's roof cam.
Okay, this is where it really started. It's going to happen beside of him as he moves up the racetrack here. He'll touch Jeff Gordon. There you see Terry Labonte goes by, and then now they're coming in to turn 1. There's where he touches Jeff Gordon, John Andretti down on the inside, and then, boy, it breaks loose everywhere. The lights went out, Ken.
Now the real time on this angle. Watch this. You're right, Ned. 5 cars passed underneath Ricky Craven when he was in the air, and Jerry is with Ricky Rudd.
Well, Ricky obviously involved in this incident. His car on pit road, and because of the red flag, the crew, Danny Marshford and crew, can't work on the car. Ricky, first of all, what happened from your vantage point out there?
Well, Jerry, it looked like the 6 and the 24. I couldn't tell exactly. It looked like the 24 tried to put it in a hole that maybe wasn't there. Turned the 6 sideways. He could have turned them loose, and he decided to leave his bumper in there and wrecked all of us.
What was your involvement, Ricky, as far as where did you get primarily most of your damage in the front end?
Well, Jerry, it just kind of beat it up all around and knocked the front end out of alignment. And like I said, once they started bouncing around, we were just kind of mixed up in the middle of it. And it filled my windshield full of oil, so I couldn't really tell you what happened after that. Just kind of went along for the ride.
Well, they are going to try to fix the car. You see the right front of this Tide ride heavily damaged. The bars that support the front bumper have been pulled away. It's obviously towed out. Most of the right front fender and right front bumper are sheared away. Also damaged. We get Corky to move around to the back of the car. We can show that the left rear of the car, he did get hit from behind. Down here where it says Downey, that's been shortened by about 2 or 3 feet. And you see some of the other parts of the car have also been shortened just for a little bit here. And Gordon's car has been shortened quite a bit. I mean, they just came by here a moment ago. Jeff Gordon's car was shortened, as was the Jeff Purvis car. And Bill Weber, you're up there. The Gordon car looks pretty well used up.
Yeah, this probably isn't even show car material here. Badly banged in on the right-hand side, the rear bashed in, the front end is cut up pretty bad. I'm standing next to Ray Evernham. I don't believe he wants to talk. We haven't seen. This car is pretty much done for, Ray.
Yeah, you know, we're trying to get it out and run a few laps if we can, but it's obviously it's at a competition.
Was Jeff able to say what happened?
No, you could pretty much see what happened on TV, though.
Okay, he's going to go ahead and work on his car. Jerry?
What we didn't see a moment ago, and what Ricky Rudd fortunately probably couldn't see because oil in his windshield. Take a look at the roof. A car went over Ricky Rudd's car in the air, and you see where this car came across. There's tire marks, fender marks, depressed the rear glass, almost took part of the flap off, and some race car in the air bounced off the right side roof panel of the Tide Ford. So another close call for Ricky Rudd, a heavily damaged car. Let's go with for John Kernan standing by with the defending champion.
Well, Jeff Gordon has been checked out in the infield care center. And Jeff, first of all, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's a shame that happened out there. It's just it gets real tight out there, and I mean you can blame anybody or everybody or nobody. It was one of those deals where I was going for a hole, everybody was going for a hole, and it got real tight by the wall, and I don't think anybody could have done really much else. It's real unfortunate. I never hate to get into Mark, if anybody. I mean, Mark, and I got together, and we just started wrecking, but he didn't have any room on the inside of him, so, it's just kind of a squeeze play.
What goes through your mind when that happens and you know what the result's going to be?
It's one of the scariest feelings that you can ever imagine. You're sitting in there sliding along about 180, 190 miles per hour, and you're just holding tight. And I mean, every time I opened my eyes, I got hit. So I closed my eyes when and then, I'd be sliding along there, and you think it's going to stop. About that time, boom, somebody else will hit you. And, it was the first time I'd been in a wreck quite like that, and it wasn't fun.
Well, it wasn't a lot of fun, but fortunately, Jeff is okay. Now let's go to Bill Weber, who's standing by with another driver who is involved in it.
Okay, Elton Sawyer's here, and we're just talking about it. Elton, how did you see it?
Well, I don't know, it must have been 30 cars there bunched up, and the the first thing I saw was the 24 car sideways, and the spotter said go low. So we went low and thought we had it missed. And I don't know, I think Mark was the one that came off the wall. You know, just it was unfortunate. You know, it's a pretty fast racetrack, obviously, and we just got to use our head a little bit more. Hopefully everybody's okay. I think the 41 car may have got up and flipped a couple times. Hopefully, you know, Ricky's okay.
Okay, that's Elton Sawyer. He's already changed. He's done. John is with Mark Martin.
Get your turn. Mark Martin being interviewed by all the media here. And Mark, what a wild ride. What happened there?
We all just ran out of room out there. Just, you know, these cautions are a nightmare. You know, you get all these cars in a pack and everybody's brave and they're going to, you know, jump up out there in front and try to hold that position. After 20, 30 laps, you know, everybody's handling starts settling out and the best guys work their way up to the front. But that was just a mess out there. It always is after a caution and on a restart. And, you know, there's not any use in placing any blame. We just ran out of room out there for what we were trying to do.
I saw you walking out of the care center. You were limping a little bit. How's your foot?
It's fine. I just got a little bit of a bruise, and it's probably more of a, you know, it hurts more now than it will later. I just hit it on something.
All right, well, that must Mark Martin. His right foot's just a little bit sore, but other than that, he's okay. Let's go to Bill Weber's with Ernie Irvan.
And first, let's establish, Ernie, that you're okay.
Yeah, I'm all right. You know, it's a shame. You know, we had a great run, and you know, we get back into racing with people we shouldn't be racing with. It's all a result of what happened after qualifying when they blew our motor up.
How did you see it start?
Well, I didn't really get to see it start. I mean, the only thing I saw was Mark Martin get spun, and you know, whatever happened, I'm not sure before that. You know, I just saw Mark go across the track, and then I was behind the 10 car, and I was on the brakes, and I run in the back of the 10 car. Not real bad. I think he's still going, so you know, not too bad though.
Now, when you say it's a result of your motor being damaged after qualifying, you want to explain that for the fans that weren't with us on Friday?
Well, I need to. I mean, you know, we were just down on power the whole time. You know, the guys have done a tremendous job trying to get back what we had, but we had an awesome motor, and you know, we got to messing with people we shouldn't have been messing with, and you know, you just get back there like that. You know, what happened is they dynoed our motor, and you know, they don't even have a dyno figure, but they tried to dyno it, and it broke the motor.
Okay, that's Ernie Irvan. It was a great return here, but he's done for today.
A lot of top contenders have been taken out in this crash, or at least involved in it. We're going to show you a graphic here listing those that were involved in one way or another in the wreck, and some of those there were certainly potential winners, Ned.
Yeah, they certainly were. Many of them had led the race. Rusty Wallace and Ernie Irvan, Mark Martin had all led the race. Ricky Rudd had run good all day long. Just a shame that this many cars have been affected here.
We're still trying to find out the condition of Ricky Craven, whose car took the wildest ride down in turn number 1. When we get any information, we'll pass it along to you as soon as we can. ESPN's coverage of the Winston Select 500 from Talladega Superspeedway being brought to you by AC Delco Automotive Parts. AC Delco, it's like buying time. And by Chevrolet. One car company has won more races in the history of NASCAR. Genuine Chevrolet. We are under a red flag here at Talladega because of an accident down in turn number 1. Ricky Craven's car flew up into that catch fence. They're going to have to repair it before we can go back to green. John Kernan has an update on his condition.
Well, I just talked to Ricky's crew chief, Charlie Presley, and Charlie tells me that Ricky is okay. He's alert. He's speaking, but he's got a big old raspberry on his arm is what Charlie is telling me. So that's some good news. He says he is shaken up, but they're not sure the extent of the injuries. But once again, Charlie Presley, Ricky's crew chief, telling me that Ricky is okay. He's alert, and he is talking. And other than that, we have no further reports on his condition, Bob.
I'll take a raspberry on his arm right now, Ned.
Yes, sir. For what he went through, that's good news to hear that there's the car. Boy, you're right, Bob. That looks very much like the car that Phil Parsons wrecked here back in 1983 down in turn 1. Not much left of it. Oh. And in fact, it's over here in the Talladega Hall of Fame here at the International Motorsports Hall of Fame.
Here it is once again. At the top of the line are Martin and Gordon, and that's where the trouble began.
looked like maybe Mark Martin tried to come down, but John Andretti was there, and Gordon was trying to go by on the outside, and boy, it just opened the door to
Looks
melee.
like Craven's car was launched over Mark Martin when he was hit by Hut Strickland, and when the car did get launched, it overturned a couple of times, went into the debris fence, and then down on the racetrack quite hard on the top, and then it came to rest at the bottom of the racetrack. Jerry is with a driver who is having a great run, Michael Waltrip.
And Bob, before we talk about that, when you brought the Craven car by a moment ago, the drivers who were out of their cars here under the red flag, including Michael, everyone sort of took a gasp when they saw the car come by. But Michael, it is good news that Raspberry and otherwise that at this point in time, Craven is awake and alert.
That's great news, and just hats off to NASCAR for making us build these cars and the teams for building them so safely. The thing I noticed about the car when I went by, the driver's compartment was still intact. And when I looked at that, I said, well, I hope, that's before I heard the news, I said, I think Ricky might be okay, and sure enough, he was.
That conjure up memories of Bristol a few years ago for you?
Yeah, a little bit, I guess. I thought about it. I was looking at it to see if he had a worse wreck than me, but it looked like it might still be, I still might own the honor of the worst ever crash. A car sitting in a museum right behind the racetrack here. But, that was a bad day, but this has been a good day for the Citgo Ford Thunderbird. Eddie Lynn and all the Wood brothers and Danny Glad, they've just given me a great car there. We're befumbled as to why it didn't qualify too well. If you can be that, I don't know what that means, that word, but
that's confused at Talladega if you look it up in the dictionary. Befumbled.
But it's running good now, and we feel like we can be a factor before it's over. It's the Citgo Ford Thunderbird is that strong.
Do you get some help? I mean, who's been working with you out there? I know some of the guys, some of the people have teammates. They got the 88 and the 28. The Roush cars have teammates. The Hendrick cars. Who helps Michael?
Well, Mark worked real good with me. He and I worked well together. We, had to bail out on each other a time or two, but all in all, it worked real well. Now he's tore up. But those two cars behind me, the Richard Petty car driven by Bobby Hamilton and the Dino the Dinosaur Machine, man, they make my car go. And they, in return, like the way their car feels behind mine. So I think I got me some help there. And I feel like that, just then we had a shot at them. We could have run at them and made the finish real fun. So I think that'll be the case. I'd like to say hi to Mom and Pa back in Owensboro and Caitlin back in North Carolina.
You need to come work qualifying more often on Friday. You have pretty good luck on Sunday.
I was a little confused about that deal. I thought you had, Benny being involved. There'd be hors d'oeuvres and sweets and so forth. No food, not much of anything. So you'll have to talk to me about that.
Well, Benny got sick, so we shipped the shrimp home.
All right, well, thanks for having me on there. I enjoyed it.
Michael Waltrip running 5th here at Talladega and thinks he may have a shot at it. His car awfully strong here, at least through this part of the race.
Bill Weber is with Jeff Purvis, another driver involved in the crash.
And standing here with Jeff Purvis, your car doesn't look too bad.
I wish this was a car we was racing. This is our backup car. Well, they had a bad wreck out there, didn't they? I really hate we ended up in this situation. This MCA's, come on board and help sponsor this car with David Lee Murphy, and it's just a bad day.
Yeah, what did you see out there, Jeff? What happened?
I'd rather not even comment on it, to be honest with you. It's just they should have been a little bit more give and take out there, I believe.
Okay, that's Jeff Purvis, and he's finished for today.
And I think one thing we are hearing, nobody is laying blame on anybody else. It was just an accident that can happen at Talladega when you are running so fast.
Like Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin said,
right.
You see a hole and you go for it. And, yeah, once contact is made, when you're in that big pack of cars, big things happen.
There's the work that is being done on the catch fence in turn number 1 where Ricky Craven's car flew into it. We'll take a break and be back with more in just a moment.
Hi again, everybody. Brett Haber back in the ESPN studios. The red flag still in effect at Talladega. We'll get you back there as soon as possible. A very frightening event involving Ricky Craven at that race. Another frightening event at the IndyCar race in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, involving Paul Tracy. As we take a look at that, a crash involving a pit crew. Tracy in the number 3 car pulling into the pits. He locked up his tires on the way in and collided with his crew member, Matt Johnson. Johnson looked to be seriously injured. Indeed, he was not. A twisted left knee. Very, very fortunate. Tracy was in first place at that point. He was black flagged for dangerous driving. Michael Andretti, as you see, taking the checkered flag. Andretti won this race back in 1987, the inaugural year. He is, of course, a Nazareth, Pennsylvania native. Other racing action this Sunday. F1, the Grand Prix of Europe. Start of the race, Damon Hill looking to be only the 4th F1 driver in history to win 5 straight F1 races. But the pole sitter gets a poor start and drops back early. Bumps tires with Pedro Denis briefly going off the track. He falls back to 10th. Meanwhile, the rest of the race coming down to Michael Schumacher and Jacques Villeneuve. In the end, it is Villeneuve, the former Indy 500 champion, crossing the finish line ahead of Schumacher. Villeneuve, first Formula One victory since coming over to this circuit. He is the Canadian native, first Canadian to win a Grand Prix event since his dad, Gilles Villeneuve, back in '81, still trailing Damon Hill, the points leader, by 11 points. Much more on this race, much more on the IndyCar race, and the race you're watching coming up tonight on RPM. Tonight, Kenny Mayne will be your host. Don't miss it at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The NBA playoffs, of course, are underway. Game 2 between Detroit and Orlando. Doug Collins trying to get his young team into the game, but they were not listening. Hardaway, no good, but there is Shaq. Johnny on the spot with a follow. Orlando up 7 points early, but the Pistons not about to give up. Second half action. Otis Thorpe one-on-one with Horace Grant. Little hook in the lane. Pistons take a lead for the first time, 48-47, but Orlando pulling away in the fourth. Have we seen these two guys before? Penny, Shaq, 8 assists for Penny in the game. The final, 92-77 for the Magic. Shaq, game high 29, 13 of 19 from the field. They lead the series 2-0. And the Spurs and Suns, they are at halftime of their game. David Robinson, 20 at halftime, 10 rebounds in the first quarter. That game, the second, Spurs up in the series 1-0. And more NBA action ahead on ESPN Radio tonight, or this afternoon if you prefer, 5:07 Eastern Time. The Heat and Bulls game 2 there. The Bulls up 1-0 in that series. We invite you to check your local listings for the station, Shrewd Station, in your area. And coming up tonight on ESPN, plenty more ahead. There is golf. The seniors in Las Vegas for the Senior Classic. Tommy Aaron, Bob Charles came in with the lead going into the final round. Then Linda Cohn has Sports Center at 7 p.m., an abbreviated version. And then, of course, baseball tonight at 7:20. All the highlights ahead. Don't miss that. Then at 8 o'clock, our Sunday night game of the week, the Braves and Cards. Tom Glavine scheduled to go. 8 Eastern Time is start time there. Right now, let's get you back to Talladega and Bob Jenkins.
Once again, the helicopter flies over the racetrack, airlifting an injured driver to Birmingham. This is Ricky Craven that's in this one. John Kernan has an update on his condition.
Well, Bob, we told you a little bit earlier that Ricky was alert and speaking. He has been taken to the Caraway Medical Center in Birmingham for further evaluation. Ricky complaining of back pain, but the good news is, hey, he can complain about that back pain. So they've taken him on the helicopter, taken him to Caraway Medical Center for further evaluation. Now let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch, who's with Sterling Marlin.
Amazing when these guys get out of the race cars, the first thought to their fellow drivers. The first thing Sterling asked me was, number one, how's Bill Elliott? Number two, how's Ricky Craven? And both have been taken. That helicopter a moment ago, Sterling was Craven, but he's been awake and alert. Now about the good news. Your race, I mean, as Ned Jarrett put it, you went to the back to the front one time and then did it again. It's to prove you could do it again.
Well, we had started the race and the car run hot and had to stop and pull some tape off and cool it down. And I was kind of worried, and the car was really running good. And the second time, we just took a gamble because if the race had went green, we couldn't have made it. And come in, got some tires and got some fuel, and we could have made it on one more stop. So looks like we're going to have to do it again. We're on a window here for fuel mileage, and we're going to have to probably come back in and top it off to make it. So we'll have to see if we do it again.
Now, your car owner, Larry McClure, and some others have been lobbying with NASCAR to let you run 2 or 3 laps under caution, then let you come in and top it off. That way everyone could make it the rest of the way. If they don't do that, you and a few others are going to come up, 2 or 3 laps short.
Yeah, you are. So, we don't want to see a boring race, and, especially come down on a fuel mileage deal. And I think about maybe 3 cars can make it, and a lot of the rest of us got to stop. So we'll do what we got to do. And the draft's working good here, and our car's working good, so we'll just try to do what we got to do and get back to the front.
Let me go quickly to show you what not to have happen at Talladega, folks. This was our track fact a little bit ago. This is the piston that came out of this guy's car at Daytona. See the scorched inside? That's a burned piston. Hey, that's wrong. Don't do that.
Don't need to do it no more.
All right, Sterling Marlin visiting. Let's go back up pit row where Bill Weber standing by with Terry Labonte.
And Terry just got a drink and stands here. You're having a pretty good run. You're 7th right now.
Well, not bad. Our Kellogg Chevy's been running pretty good for us all day. We've been close to the front all day. It's
you can see it from there.
We can see the front anyway, yeah. So hopefully we can, go back out there and go caution-free the rest of the day and have a good finish.
You make it to the finish?
After we come in and top off, we can.
Yeah. Obviously, some of these guys are going to fall out now, but a lot of close racing out there.
Well, it's typical restrictor plate racing. It's awful close. The cars are so even, and it just takes one mistake and takes a lot of innocent people out with it.
Okay, that's Terry Labonte. He'll restart 7th, and they'll come in and get some fuel. And John is with Mike Wallace.
Well, Mike, kind of surveying the damage. You're okay, right? But the car's torn up pretty bad.
Well, it is tore up pretty bad, John. You know, we didn't have a great day going anyway, but we were up there trying to outgas them, hopefully, if it was going to continue to go green for a long time and get back on the lead lap. And, you know, those guys all wrecked up in front of us. And I seen the smoke instantly, so I got slowed down. Knew Rusty was behind me, so I thought I got turned to the bottom of the racetrack and thought I'd missed the whole wreck. Matter of fact, I did miss the whole wreck. Unfortunately, when the car got in the grass, it turned back around and got up the racetrack and hit the left side. I can't figure out how these cars can go up the racetrack so hard, you know, from being on the bottom, but it's a shame. It's, you know, unfortunately, I hate to see it for Rusty. He was behind us there, and he'd led this race, and I thought his voodoos of this place were over with, but I guess he got all gathered back up, and I just hope everybody's okay out of it. I know some guys took some hard hits there, and everybody was pretty concerned about Ricky Craven, so I guess he must have got the worst of it. So.
Yeah, I can tell you, Ricky, they've taken him to Caraway in Birmingham, and he's complaining of back pain, but he was alert.
Yeah, from what I understand, he must have took a hell of a ride because the whole thing in the care center, everybody's wanting to know how he was, and all his crew looked pretty shook up about it. So hopefully he'll be fine, and Ricky get back, and Bill, I guess, got hurt in that earlier wreck, and hopefully he'll be fine too, and I guess we'll all go to Sears Point and try it again.
Well, Mike Wallace is sitting here in the garage area. They were working on his car, and they will try and get out to run some laps to finish this race, Bob.
Other drivers have gathered around to talk with each other about how they're doing on this particular day. There's Jeremy Mayfield on the left and Kenny Wallace with his back to you.
There's Jeremy Mayfield is 29 laps down as a result of problems earlier. Sort of an innocent spin out by him, but anyway, he lost a lot of time from it.
This catch fence up in turn number 1 was put here after Jimmy Horton went out of the ballpark in the July race in 1993, and they are having to do some welding up there, so it's going to be a while longer before we go back to green flag racing. And we will show you once again why we are under this red flag and what caused the damage in turn number 1. Several cars involved. The flipping car belongs to Ricky Craven, but the report is that he is awake and alert, although on his way to Caraway in Birmingham. We'll be right back. Back at Talladega, where the Winston Select 500 is under a red flag because of a crash. Down in turn number 1, and they're working on the catch fence. 3 posts, we understand, were sheared off, and they're having to weld those back before we can go back to racing. But there's no doubt that those posts did their job, Ned.
Yeah, I think they did. You mentioned it was put up after Jimmy Horton went out of the ballpark here a couple of years ago, and I think that it kept Ricky Craven inside this time.
Let's go down to Bill Weber. Looks like a lot of drivers are taking it easy right now.
Relaxing while they can, and we'll start over here with Dale Earnhardt, who's had a great car today and has gotten to the front. You're third right now. How is your ride?
Well, we're in good shape now. First, we had to do a lot of adjustment. We had to unhook the bar. I was really loose, so we got that fixed, and we're pretty good shape now. We race with them now.
A challenge to come through the field, Dale. You started 16.
Yeah, and then I was at the back of that mess after the bar got loose. The car got loose. We took the bar off, so we've been to the back and to the front a couple of times, so it's just going to have to take a good partner to get back to the front or to win, I think. So me and Mike was just sitting here talking about how it was to draft back and forth, how you be up front and then somebody here come a crowd with drafting by you. So you got to have somebody to work with.
So you may be doing some bargaining here, looking for some partners?
Nah. He eats too much on vacation when we go on vacation.
Okay, well, Dale Earnhardt's third, and over here is Mike Skinner, who we talked to earlier today and said he wanted to log a lot of laps and run with some of the guys that have been around for a long time, and that's worked out for you today. You're not on the lead lap now, but you have run with some of the guys that you respect in this series.
Yeah, you know, we're getting a lot of real good seat time today, Bill, and you know, we had an unfortunate situation right there at the start. We had a little problem on the rear tire and lost a lap, and then the car was exceptionally loose. Dale and I both was real loose. We went to the front and then we went to the back together, and it's unfortunate for the Realtree car that we got a lap down because we've been running right around, you know, top 10, top 12 all day. So just one of them things. We got the car a lot better right now. We left it a little bit on the conservative side. We don't have a shot to win this race now being a lap down, so we're just going to try to log some laps and be ready for them when next time we come back to Talladega.
There's one place you really don't want to be here, and that's when there are two lines of traffic and you're the guy in the middle of it, and you've been in there a little bit today.
I'll tell you what, I don't think there's a car out there that's worked with me today. Johnny Benson worked with me a little bit, and Dale worked with me, and I worked with him a little bit. But when you're a rookie out here the first time, it's like you got a bad disease. Every time I try to go somewhere, I'll make a run, I'll jump down there, and they'll jump down there with me, and then they'll jump back in and leave me hung out. But it seems like all I've been able to do is help other people get spots today. But, you know, you got to gain respect in this division and on these super speedways. We're going awfully fast here, and that's what we're trying to do today, gain a little respect and keep the fenders on the Realtree Chevrolet and come back next time and try to win this thing.
That's Mike Skinner. Now let's go to Jerry Punch. He's holding a team meeting, I think, over there.
Well, we're talking to a couple of guys that are in the top 15. Ted Musgrave currently runs ninth, trying to get his 5th top 10 of the year, Ted. Pretty good year for the Family Channel car, but this mess started right beside you. You were lucky to miss out.
Yeah, I guess the 37 and the 6 kind of got together right after the tri-oval, and it made the 6-car wiggle pretty good, so he probably backed off a second, and the 24 was right behind. And, you know, it's Talladega. You know, everybody's really tight here, so, you know, it just started a chain reaction. But like I say, when I looked in the mirror, there was just a lot of cars flipping and flying. I'm glad everybody's all right.
This car you're running today, I was told, Howard told me you had not sat in this car until Friday morning. It was a car no one really had run. It had been a test car last year. So considering what you qualified with and where you're running, that's a pretty good effort.
Well, that's true. I've never ever driven this car and never sat in it. It's been tested by both of our other teams. So I wanted to just try it out today because they said it was a pretty decent car, but neither one of them wanted it. So it's running pretty good. Like I say, if I can get a good race in here and get another top 10 and go home and see Debbie and the kids again.
Well, he's modest. What happened? The other two teams said this car isn't going to run. It isn't good at Talladega. Let's give it to Musgrave. What does this guy do? He goes and out-qualifies the other two guys, and right now is outrunning them. So, hey, a nice run for Ted Musgrave. Let's go over here to Rick Mast, who's chatting with someone. Rick, okay. Rick, his Hooters Pontiac running 13th. And, Rick, you were already in one shut today. You got a little tag from behind out there when Marcus slowed up. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody slowed up in front of Dave, and I checked up, and somebody got me in the back, and we hit Dave and turned him around. But, you know, I got through that deal, and Bill's deal was right in my mirror. I seen him go flying by the mirror about 200 miles an hour. And this deal here, we broke a jack on the last stop, I guess, and I'd lost the draft because we had a bad stop. And I seen all that happening going in the first turn. The time I got slowed down, I got there. Ricky had his net down, his arm hanging out the window. I said, well, there's a piece of somebody's race car, and there's the other piece of it. I said, well, there's Ricky. He's okay. So I hope everybody's okay in that deal. I'm sure they are.
Well, you've had some luck, though. I mean, when the race first started, you cut a tire and came down, and that first caution was a break for you.
It was. The race started, it was going good, and all of a sudden it got real loose. I said, man, have we missed the chassis again? And they had the caution. I come in the pits, we had a right rear flat. So we're real lucky on that. You know, I've come from the back twice today. You know, we come in the pits, we broke a jack once, broke an air wrench once, and I've had to go to the back. And I've got a pretty good race car. I think if it could ever get to the front, I think it'd be in good shape, but we'll see.
13 spots away with what's happened to this guy today. Maybe his luck is changing. Finally, the kid from Rockbridge, Bath, Virginia, may have a good finish. Currently, he sits 13th, Bob.
All right, thank you, Jerry. The huge crowd that gathered here to watch this race has not left. They're all staying here for the remaining 55 laps of this Winston Select 500. Welcome back to Talladega. Let's update you on what is happening right now. First of all, they're fixing the catch fence down in turn number 1 because of the accident. And we understand it's going to be about 10 more minutes before we can refire the cars. The accident involved several, including Jeff Gordon and Ernie Irvin and Rusty Wallace and several other top contenders. There's a list. And the red flag came out to repair the fence. Now, the good news is that apparently no driver has been seriously injured. Ricky Craven has been airlifted to Caraway Medical Center in Birmingham for further observation, complaining of a sore back and an injury to the arm. Now, the red flag came out. Cars parked on the tri-oval here, and the driver is allowed to come out of the car so they can cool off, but they cannot work on the cars. Let's talk to a few more of the drivers that are still in this race. John Kernan standing by with Kenny Wallace.
Well, earlier in the race, we saw Kenny Wallace stretching things out and leading the race, and they had a lug nut jam and an air wrench, put you a little bit behind. But once we get this thing going again, how do you guys sit?
Well, we got a good car. I guess it's just I've been taught to put numbers on the board, and I've been running around there at the tail end of the lead pack, and I've been watching guys fighting it out for 20th and 25th, and told the guys, I said, I can get up there and mix it up with them, but we might get in the crash. Just joking, because usually there's the big crash every year, and Man, thank God, thank the Lord we played the race like we did, because it happened, and I hate it for everybody that, they got in this crash, but it's Talladega.
Now, you came in on pit road and topped off with fuel, and there's, 58 laps to go. Is that a little bit of strategy, before the red flag came out?
Well, there is, because it's a situation where some cars, can run better with their cars. We stretched it, and we run with the 31 car, and the times were pretty good at that time before he fell out. So, it's the old Harry Gant deal, or the Bobby Labonte, we stretch that gas mileage and try to win one of these races without tearing your race car up. So when we go to Daytona, these cars are so vital now. You got to have 2 special race cars. So, we got a lot of racing to go yet, and hopefully everything can turn out okay.
Now, the accident happened in front of you. What goes through your mind as you try to slow down and dodge things?
Well, it's not nothing to make light of. It's a bad situation, and every driver's meeting we try to prevent it. But NASCAR has just done the ultimate race job at, bumper to bumper. We can't get away from each other. The only way to get away from each other is let off the gas and follow. So coming down the straightaway there, and had Kyle Petty right behind me, and seen the smoke, a little bit in front of me, and Kyle is a good racer. He's got a lot of experience. Waved my hand. I pulled out left so he wouldn't get into me. I jammed on the brakes, slid the tires all the way into turn 1. He went flying past me. When the smoke cleared, we both made it, but I guess the most frightening thing was seeing Ricky Craven. I seen every bit of it. And then to come back around and seeing his car so bad, and he just kind of flipped over in there, but he's okay, and everything's all right now.
All right, that's Kenny Wallace.
Kenny Wallace will be among those restarting in a few minutes. Now, what we're going to do in order to keep things a little bit more on track as far as our schedule on ESPN is concerned, we're going to let you see the first segment, at least the first segment, of Shop Talk with Alan Bestwick and the special guest Dale Earnhardt. We're going to do that right now, and we will be here when we get a resumption of the race. So you won't miss anything, but right now let's go to Shop Talk. Alan Bestwick and Dale Earnhardt. We are back at Talladega live in the Winston Select 500, still under a red flag, but the drivers have been ordered back to their cars, so it shouldn't be too long before we go back to green. Now, there is the repair that has been made to the catch fencing up in turn number 1 that Ricky Craven hit when involved in a multi-car accident in that area of the racetrack. The track crews are now on the rest of the tri-oval cleaning it so that we can get back to high-speed racing. So we are not yet ready to go back to green, but we will come back when the green flag drops. In the meantime, we're going to send you back for another segment of Shop Talk featuring Alan Bestwick and Dale Earnhardt. We welcome you back to Talladega Superspeedway. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, Jerry Punch, and Bill Weber. And we are now ready to resume the race in a couple of laps. They are opening the pits for those drivers that are on the lead lap, and there are 20 of them. The red flag was for 31 minutes to repair the catch fence in turn number 1. So here comes Sterling Marlin, Dale Jarrett, and the others on the lead lap, down for what hopefully is going to be their final pit stop.
Yeah, and Sterling Marlin was saying it might be a little bit close for some of them as far as fuel is concerned, finishing the race. They'll put 4 new tires on, most of them. Earnhardt. There's Jarrett getting 4 tires on his car.
Terry Labonte is already rolling out. Steve Grissom is also. There's Grissom at the bottom of your screen. Here comes Terry Labonte and Sterling Marlin. Dale Earnhardt comes out. Dale Jarrett is behind him. Michael Waltrip is pitted right down at the end of pit road and got out, I believe, before those two. John Andretti, there's Ted Musgrave, Robert Presley, and the 43 car is having trouble here.
Yeah, apparently must have choked down or something. Having trouble getting refired.
Bobby Hamilton was being shown in the 7th position when the red flag came out. Right now they're having trouble getting the car going again. The green will come out in a couple of more laps. We'll take a break and be back in just a moment to Talladega. There's the view from the Pontiac pace car back on the field. We're at Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama. There are 133 laps now completed out of 188. Well, it has not been a good day here at Talladega for several drivers. Bill Elliott had a very frightening crash earlier in the race. He came off of corner number 2. The car got airborne. It did not flip over. Back on the wheels. Jerry, what's the update?
Well, Bob, we showed that Bill was airlifted to Caraway Regional Medical Center in Birmingham, what they thought may have been a dislocation of the left hip. Now, dislocation by virtue of the fact that when a patient comes in, ordinarily the foot is rotated out, and you hope the hip is just purely dislocated. Usually, though, it means that there is a fracture, and that has been the diagnosis of Bill Elliott. He has a fractured left hip. We are told he will probably go into surgery sometime early tomorrow morning. An orthopedist on his way to the hospital to evaluate Bill, but probably be operated on to have the hip fixed tomorrow morning.
All right, and then there was also a bad crash, even worse than that, down in turn number 1. This involves several cars. There's Ricky Craven turning over and over into the catch fence. That's why we went red. Jumped over about 5 cars, flipping down the banking. And Ricky Craven has also been airlifted to Caraway Medical Center, but he was reported to be awake and alert, so possibly no serious injury to Ricky Craven. All right, we're going to take one more break before the green flag comes out here at Talladega as we resume our coverage of the Winston Select 500. ESPN Speed World coverage of the Winston Select 500 is being brought to you by the Miller Brewing Company, proud sponsor of the Miller Racing Team. We race for beer. By Pennzoil, the motor oil that works like liquid ball bearings. And by the more than 1,250 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. Well, leading this race is local hero Steve Grissom, and he is leading a NASCAR Winston Cup race for the first time in 1996. So what are the pit strategies now from here on? First of all, John Kernan.
Well, Bob, Robert Presley has been running in the top 5, top 10 all day long, just came in. He topped off with fuel. Andy Petrie says now they can make it the rest of the way. They also had changed 4 tires the first time in. Terry Labonte's crew changed the left side tires only and took on fuel. They will make it the rest of the way. And Bill Engel tells me Steve Grissom is going to try to make it the rest of the way because they have nothing to lose.
Dale Jarrett still fighting a handling problem getting into turn 3. They couldn't run the risk of going to the rear. They had to stay out. They are going to be right on the edge of their window. Same with the 4 bunch. Sterling Marlin stopped on the lap previous. They topped it off. They also are at the edge of their window. Unfortunately, sometime on the edge, you fall off. Jerry Punch.
Earnhart can go 56 laps. They have 54 remaining. They think they can make it. They shouldn't be a problem. However, the 21 car, Michael Waltrip, they've got to go 54. The most they have gone today, the most they've calculated they can go is 52. But hey, they're going to roll the dice and try to pick one off.
After a long red flag period, we are ready to go back to racing. The green flag comes out, and the Winston Select 500 is on once again. Terry Labonte running in 2nd position. Michael Waltrip, and a great effort for him, is running in 3rd, and there are the top 10 on your scoring pylon. As you can see, 52 laps to go. Now, last year in this race, Rusty Wallace tried to go 62 laps for the win. He ran out with 5 laps to go. But as you heard, most people think that they can go the rest of the distance on the fuel that they have.
As I say, it'll be close for some. There's Kenny Slater. He's 1 lap down. Remember, he had a flat tire and had to make a green flag pit stop and went a lap down. There are 19 cars on the lead lap.
And Steve Grissom holds them off for 1 lap under green. He got his first top 10, Steve Grissom did, here in this race in 1994. He's a hometown favorite. He grew up just down the road here in Gadsden, Alabama. Was a football player, and he's leading this race.
Caution is out, and there's the reason. Ricky Rudd's hood has come off. So if those that were wondering about being able to make it, they might could come in now and cap off.
Yep.
Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll say, well, we don't use as much fuel during caution flags. And you can see the hood is gone off. Ricky's tied forward. So be interesting to see. They'll race back to the line.
Steve Grissom maintaining the lead right now. Terry Labonte dropping kind of low on the racetrack, letting several go by. Jerry, what happened to Ricky's car?
The tide for a little bit ago, even though they had used bungee cord to hold the front of the hood down, with the whole front bumper and grill gone, so much air under that hood, it's like a wind tunnel. It basically, the air got underneath the hood and broke the hinges, just snapped the hinges at the back of the hood and let the hood come flying off.
All right, so the debris will have to be picked up here in the tri-oval before we go back to racing. There is Rudd making his way down pit road with the hood gone on that car. We'll be back with more in just a moment from Talladega Superspeedway, the Winston Select 500. We'll be going back to green next time around. They're about halfway down the backstretch. Up front, Steve Grissom and Michael Waltrip, two drivers who have number one in NASCAR Winston Cup competition. We did have several cars come down and top off with fuel, including the number 4 car of Sterling Marlin.
Yeah, it was reported from the pits there a moment ago that they were still on the edge of their window as far as fuel was concerned. So they ran a few laps out there. So maybe this now should put them in good shape where they don't have to worry about it.
Looking back from Michael Waltrip's car onto Terry Labonte behind. Dick Trickle there in the 19 car. They're in the 33-degree banking in turn number 4 coming onto the tri-oval. And they will get the green flag this time around. It will be the completion of lap number 140. Green at lap 141. The Senior PGA Golf Tournament coming up after the conclusion of our coverage of the Winston Select 500. And here is the green flag waving once again, and the field back in competition. Close competition, looking back from Ken Schrader's car onto Dick Trickle. By the way, we showed you a couple of segments of Shop Talk and some of the paraphernalia and T-shirts and so forth you can buy. The phone lines are going to be open till 9 o'clock tonight, so go ahead and call up and order.
Terry Labonte chose to dip down behind Dick Trickle there, and as a result, he's been passed by Dale Jarrett. Here's Dale Earnhardt already back up there near the front, and he topped off with fuel there a little bit ago. Michael Waltrip goes high in the turn. Jarrett comes under him, makes it 3 wide coming through there.
The only one of those cars not on the lead lap in that group is Dick Trickle. He is a lap down, but he's 3rd in line.
Well, Michael Waltrip dropping back there. Ken, I don't know what the situation is with Michael, but
Michael's still 2nd.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I saw another red card, but
it was Schrader. I think
Schrader was dropping back. I beg your pardon, fans. Didn't mean to get excited there. Michael is up there in great shape.
And there is the 4 car on the move to the front once again. As we've documented so many times, he has the car apparently to come in and lose track positions because he can make it up. And now Dale Jarrett is up on the high side with a lot of momentum. And Terry Labonte going up there with him. $100,000 will be in Dale Jarrett's bank account if he can win here today. And the second leg of the Winston Million, if he wins 3 of the 4, he gets $1 million. And look at this, 3 abreast as Earnhardt goes to 2nd. Jarrett right alongside him, and Michael Waltrip gets shuffled back a little bit. Staying up on the high side of the racetrack along with Terry Labonte.
Now Earnhardt is a pretty big bonus too if he can win this race from Winston as a result of being the point leader.
$70,000 is at stake if the winner of the race is also the points leader at its conclusion. But maybe the car that we should keep a slight eye on at this point is Sterling Marlin, because that car has been so strong all day. There he is on the inside line, fighting his way once again to the front of the field, going 3 wide, make it 4 wide in the tri-oval.
Well, he just blew off 2 or 3 cars there with a little effort, it looks like.
Sterling Marlin has won 3 races here and 4 at Daytona. A total of 33 races under the restrictor plate rules.
That car has been so good, that 4-car on these restricted plate tracks. Ernie Irvan won with it several times here and at Daytona.
Steve Grissom trying to break the trap down the backstretch.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was trying to do. They made a great pit stop, got out in front of everybody else, Steve Grissom did. And he's been running up there with the leaders all day long, so he has a good race car. Here's Michael Walker going on the inside of Dale Earnhardt. Dale Jarrett coming right along with him. Those two Fords trying to hook up together. Michael gets close to Grissom.
Sure does. I think he gave him a nudge.
Might have.
In any case, Michael Waltrip is now in the lead. Dale Jarrett second. Here comes Terry Labonte and Dale Earnhardt on the bottom of the racetrack as Steve Grissom is hung out to dry at the moment.
Here's Jarrett now going for the lead.
Dale Jarrett, who started on the outside of row number 1, takes the lead rather easily from Michael Waltrip. Terry Labonte comes into second.
That's Michael Waltrip's spotter telling him to hang on. He was clear behind that 5 to try to hang on there.
Has a report on the current leader, Dale Jarrett.
Well, I just watched on the monitor down here as Dale Jarrett moved into the lead and kept his car pinched down in 3 and 4. I talked to him during the red flag, and he said his car is fine in turns 1 and 2, but he hasn't been able to hold it down in 3 and 4. He said if he got down to the end of the race, he's not sure he could hold it down there. Well, the team, when I walked back down here, told me, well, we're going to fix that on this next pit stop. And judging from where he's running now and how he took the lead a lap ago, it looks like they did, and Dale Jarrett has the lead.
Sterling Marlin is moving up. He's now in 8th spot. Make that 7th. First 6 cars have broken away just a little bit, leaving Marlin to catch up. And here comes Earnhardt closing in on Michael Waltrip for 3rd.
That big bad black Chevrolet running right up there on the bumper of Michael Waltrip. Now Sterling Marlin has he has nobody helping him back there. You said those 6 cars had broken away, but I think his car is fast enough and he'll get enough of the drafting air that he can catch up to them. There are the 6 cars. Here he is sort of running by himself, but I think that he's picking up enough of their air that as fast as his car is that he'll be able to catch him.
That car has been very strong all day. He's 1.5 seconds behind in 7th position. There are the top 6 as they run nose to tail. Jarrett with about a 2-car length advantage on Terry Labonte, and then Labonte with about a 3-car length advantage on Michael Waltrip. And you can see how close Earnhardt is to Waltrip.
I think he's just sitting there sizing him up, Earnhardt, right now.
Still got 41 laps to go. There's a long time. There's Sterling Marlin. He's definitely closed in on that lead group.
Yeah, that's not surprising. I figured that he would be able to catch them as fast as his car is. And he's picked up the draft. Now he's going to get some help there in a moment because those cars are coming up on him.
And he dropped back to almost 2 seconds now, but will get some drafting help as 4 cars catch up with him, including Dick Trickle, Ted Musgrave, Wally Dallenbach, and Mike Skinner.
Now, Dick Trickle is 1 lap down in 20th position. 19 cars still being shown on the lead lap. But yeah, this 5-car draft right here is definitely going to help Sterling Marlin.
Seconds, knocked it down about a 10th. The 28th car of Ernie Irvan, our pole sitter for this event, is back in the race after being involved in that tangle down to turn number 1. Down to 1.76 seconds for Sterling Marlin. is it going to be 2-3 laps before they catch another group, or less than that?
Yeah, less than that maybe, because he's close enough now, and with the help he's getting from behind, he's going to get a lot of help in front. And the closer he gets, the more help he's going to get from those up in front of him. So he'll just zoom right up there along. By the time they get back to the start-finish line, he's going to be pretty close on him.
He just picked up a half. Oh, more than that now. Picked up about 7/10 of a second. Sterling Marlin has been awesome. He has led 26 laps so far today. We've had 14 leaders.
Now he's beginning to pull away from Dick Trickle a little bit as he gets closer to these others. He's running some awfully fast laps there. Don't have a stopwatch on him, but he is running some very, very fast laps as he comes up on these cars right now.
Everybody's staying in line at the moment with still 38 laps to go, except Marlin. He goes to the inside of Steve Grissom at the end of the backstretch.
Yeah, he wants to get to the front if he possibly can. You don't have to run side by side, which he didn't there. Didn't have to run side by side long. I think Steve Grissom realized that. He didn't want to run side by side with him, so he fell back in line behind him and tried to follow him up through the pack. That'd be his best bet. Here he comes,
picked off
making another move.
Now he's going to pick off Bobby Hamilton, or try to.
Yeah, he's going to try Earnhardt.
Looks like Hamilton's going to go to the bottom side and help him, maybe. Well, maybe not.
Earnhardt goes high, and Marlin goes low. What Earnhardt wants to do is latch on to Marlin. He knows that Marlin has an awfully fast race car, and he'd like to try to move with him right on up to the front.
That is an awesome race car, Sterling Marlin.
Look there, just pull out and try to make another move.
Now we have Steve Grissom, Wally Dallenbach, and Ted Musgrave 3 abreast. Now they get to 2 as
Marlin gets to 3rd.
Yep. That one Pitman engine is singing for Sterling Marlin. Dale Jarrett continues to lead with Terry Labonte 2nd. But now Sterling Marlin is 3rd. Runs in 5th position. Hamilton's best finish this year is 6th at Martinsville and Richmond. He's got a 5th going today, and it looks like the line may be forming to the inside of Dale Jarrett.
Very definitely. The Chevrolets are teaming up together there, and they're going to blow Dale Jarrett's Ford off. 1, 2, 3.
And the Pontiac will join with the GM product.
Pontiac will come along as well. So Jarrett got hung out there on the outside.
Hamilton and Michael Waltrip and Ted Musgrave looks like they're also going to be able to pass Jarrett, or will they?
Well, yep, they're coming right on the inside. Jarrett will go back to the inside. That's where his car seems to work the best. So he'll try to hook onto those Fords and see if he can work his way back up there.
And now you got to believe that Sterling Marlin is just biding his time. Dale Jarrett going low beneath Bobby Hamilton again. Grissom and Dallenbach behind Dale and Dick Trickle. Here's Marlin looking to the inside of Terry Labonte.
Yeah, he couldn't make that move. Earnhardt didn't go with him. In fact, Earnhardt decided he'd come up on the outside of Marlin, and it's going to cost Marlin.
It sure is going to cost him. He drops from 2nd all the way back to 4th or 5th, depending upon whether Ted Musgrave can get around him.
Rusty Wallace back out on the racetrack.
So several of the cars that were involved in the big incident down in turn number 1 are rejoining the race here late.
I think Jarrett will go with Marlin here. Jarrett's car likes the inside, and he thinks that's his best shot trying to get back up towards the front. And Marlin gets by Ted Musgrave pretty easily. I don't know if Jarrett can get by that easy or not. But there you see from Musgrave's car looking down at Jarrett. And Musgrave comes back up, so Jarrett was not able to clear Musgrave. That's going to cost them if they aren't careful. That 4-car draft in front of them will get away if they aren't careful.
Look at Dallenbach making a 3 wide into turn number 1. Well, Rusty Rusty Wallace had a great run going for a while. Unfortunately, he was involved in that accident down in turn number 1, but he is back in the race. Now, True Value has a $10,000 reward. They call it the $1,000 reward, I should say. The Man of the Race Award. It went to Rusty Wallace last week for winning the Goody's Headache Powder 500. It's donated to the driver's favorite charity. In this case, it went to the Rusty Wallace Charitable Foundation, which contributes to the Brenner's Children's Hospital and the Center for the Prevention of Child Abuse. So good award there by True Value, $1,000. Who's going to win the $1,000 in this one, Ned? It's still anybody's race.
Yes, it really is. I don't know. It's still up for grabs. That is for sure. Those 4 race cars right there are awfully good. Dale Jarrett finally did clear Ted Musgrave, so he is catching back up to that front foursome. Riding with Michael Waltrip as he rides along behind Dale Earnhardt. Michael is third. Eddie Wood there cheering his driver on.
This would be a great finish for the Wood brothers.
Yeah, Michael having never won.
Yeah. His best finish, as a matter of fact, this year was at Atlanta 9th, so he's got his best run of the year going.
On the inside, on the inside.
Western Auto Mechanic of the race go to the co-winners, Lynn and Eddie Wood, who are the chief wrenches on Michael Waltrip's car.
Clear all around, clear all around. Say the 4 can only run on the bottom, no good on top.
You can say that again.
Yeah, they're telling that the 4 car can only run on the bottom of the racetrack. It can't run up high. And Dale Jarrett's in a similar situation. That's Eddie Wood that was doing that talking.
Marlin shoots to the inside in the tri-oval. It's alongside Dale Earnhardt.
Got one underneath. Still there. 16 will come and help us.
Well, 16 didn't come and help us.
16's helping 88 now. Keep digging, dude. Hang on.
But those guys called race for us. They're telling what's going on out there.
Doing great play-by-play here, man, while you and I can sit back and watch.
Yeah. Steve Grissom there caught down on the inside. Here's Marlin going for second.
Making a bid once again. This is where he tried last lap and couldn't get it pulled off, but now he's got a little bit more help from Dale Jarrett, it looks like. And Marlin still running side by side with Dale Earnhardt. This helps Terry Labonte pull away a little bit. Now Ted Musgrave lines up alongside Dale Jarrett.
Yep, he's going to go with Earnhardt. Now everybody coming up there to get in on the action.
Bobby Dallenbach also joins the group. That's the blue car there at the back of the field along with Bobby Hamilton.
Wally having a great run here today again. He had a great run in the Daytona 500. Started in 35th position and right there with the lead pack.
There are 11 cars in here, and 9 of them are on the lead lap. Dick Trickle isn't, and neither is Mike Skinner, but everybody else is battling for position.
Well, Terry Labonte is just hanging out there by himself. Of course, those cars running side by side back there. That's helping him. Ooh, Earnhardt and Marlin get close to each other.
They've been close a couple of times. Jarrett's going to go with Marlin on the bottom now.
Trying it one more time down there. Now Marlin clears Musgrave, but Jarrett doesn't clear him.
That's Morgan. That's Ward Burton, isn't it, that they're going around there with a badly damaged race car. Terry Labonte finished 26th in this race last year. He leads the field at the moment with less than 27 laps to go. Wally Dallenbach moves up. Goes to the inside of Dick Trickle. Now he's passing those two cars that are not on the lead lap. Looking at Wally from Dick Trickle's in-car camera.
Well, it doesn't look like he can see very good. I can't see very good at his windshield.
Yeah, the sun is really creating a glare there.
But your eyes get focused on once you've been in there doing that for a while. You sort of get, your eyes get focused, and he can see better than we can through there.
John Kernan has more on this run by Wally Dallenbach.
Wally has always seemed to run well here at Talladega, and he had some high hopes coming in here for this race to finish maybe in the top 5, maybe even have a chance to win the race. But he's really looking forward to going out to Sears Point next week. For the first time in his Winston Cup career, he has helped more or less design and build a road course car. The Budmore crew has built a car specifically for the road courses, and Wally has had input from start to finish. So look for Wally Dallenbach Jr. next week. If he doesn't win today, he may have a good shot at winning next week on the road course at Sears Point.
Dallenbach's best finish of the year has been a 6th in the opening event at Daytona.
Terry Labonte pulling down to get every little bit of draft he can to give up on Jeff Bodine, who's out there just making laps. And every little bit of draft he can get helps him. He's got him out there. There's a couple of car in his lead. He's coming up on another car that he's getting some draft off of.
They black flagged the 28 car, by the way. Ernie Irvin just not able to go fast enough to be safe out there, so they have black flagged Ernie Irvin. Meanwhile, the field off the second corner and down the backstretch with less than 25 laps to go. It's Terry Labonte right now, but a lot of potential winners in this one.
Hi again, everybody. Brett Haber back once again in the ESPN studios. For those of you turning in right now, expecting to see the Las Vegas Senior Classic Golf, rest assured, it is on the way. We are running a little bit late in the auto race because of that 14-car accident you saw a little bit earlier involving Ricky Craven in turn 1. The race is going late. We're going to stick with it until it's in conclusion, keeping you updated on the golf. At the moment, Bob Charles is in the lead. Jim Colbert quick on his tails. Right now, we're going to get you back to Talladega.
All right, and there are less than 23 laps to go in this one when we will be switching to the seniors golf.
Here's Sterling Marlin trying to go up on the outside. Somebody said a while ago his car wouldn't work high. Well, he's trying it high on the outside of Dale Jarrett, and Ted Musgrave's going to go with him.
Terry Labonte is still at the front of the field with Earnhardt running second. Now Dale Jarrett and Ted Musgrave are side by side through the tri-oval as we watch the Michael Waltrip Sitco Ford.
Well, Marlin just going right on up through there, going for the lead here now.
And he's going to get the lead. That's where he likes to run, down on the bottom of the racetrack. He had to go up high, but now he's able to take the lead from Terry Labonte on the bottom side of turn number 2. Sterling Marlin now leads the Winston Select 500. And it is Dale Earnhardt and Dale Jarrett in 3rd and 4th.
Ted Musgrave running up high there in 5th place.
Let's take a look at this second pack here, Ned, that includes Robert Presley and John Andretti and Rick Mast and others.
Well, they're being very disciplined there, Bob, running in single file while these drivers up here are jockeying back and forth, making a lot of passes, and that could let them catch up.
With as many laps to go as we have, they're probably going to be able to catch up to the lead group and make it about a 17-car shootout for the lead.
Could happen.
There are 17 cars on the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt to the bottom side of Dale Jarrett.
Well, Jarrett just passed him on the last lap, and now he comes right back past him. Oh, there's a big bug.
Sterling Marlin was the last to win this race from the pole position. That was in July of 1995. Jeff Gordon has has decided to come back into the race. The DuPont refinishes Chevrolet is badly damaged, but able to pick up some positions possibly and get a few more points.
That's exactly right. He's being shown in 35th place right now, but he could pick up at least 2 or 3 or maybe 4 or 5 positions, and that could make a big difference at the end of the year.
Of a duel out there.
But he's coming up on Ernie Irvin. Well, they got by him before they got there, so it didn't matter. Ernie back out on the racetrack.
And they black flagged him and said they were going to pull his scoring card, but he went back into the garage area a few laps, and he's back out there. We're talking about Ernie Irvin, the pole sitter, who will not win the $12,500 in Unocal bonus money that was available to him and him only. If points were awarded right now, and we still have a few more laps to go, Sterling Marlin would jump 4 positions up to number 5 in the point standings. Jeff Gordon would drop 2 from 2nd to 4th. Terry Labonte up 2 and Dale Jarrett up 2. Craven would lose 2 positions. Rudd 1. Musgrave would lose 1. Hamilton up 3 and Rusty Wallace down 2. And we'll show you 11 through 15 also, as everybody there mostly stays the same except Bobby Labonte, who moves up 1. Bill Elliott will go down 3. He has been out of the race since his accident on about lap 78. You wonder if Bill Elliott will be able to run next week at Sonoma, Ned.
Yeah, with the hip operation, they have to do surgery on that. It would be doubtful if he would be able to.
We can only speculate as to who might replace him, but we will be in Sonoma next week for the latest. Somebody else recovering from hip surgery is my mom. I'd like to say hi to her today.
Certainly wish her well.
And Chevy Furlan's grandmother also. Here's a Fram Field summary. Steve Grissom up from 23rd starting position. Bobby Hamilton from 39th to 9th. And Wally Dallenbach from 35th to 8th.
Well, there are 6 cars that have sort of broken away here now. Actually, there are 7 cars there. Mike Skinner is a lap down. He's running right behind Michael
A little
Walker.
ways back, you got the 19, which is a lap down.
Several of these cars shown out of the race here were involved in that turn 1 accident, including Mark Martin, Craven, who has been airlifted to Caraway Medical Center in Birmingham for further evaluation, and Bill Elliott, who has suffered a broken hip. Broken femur, we understand.
Well, is there anyone who can't make it on fuel? I don't know.
And is there anyone who wants to put any money down on any one of these guys right now? I'm not willing to.
No, I don't think you can count any of those 6 out that are there right now. Although it would sort of have to favor Marlin because of how strong that car has been here all day long. And he just has gone to the front at will.
Yep. Sometimes all by himself without the help of the draft, he's come forward.
Derek getting pretty close to Terry Labonte now. Terry started to go low. Derek started to go high. We understand that maybe Wally Dallenbach has lost his cylinder.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, it is.
You can see on your scoring pylon that he's running in 8th position, but if he's dropped a cylinder, he's going to be falling out of that cylinder scoring. There he is. And here comes that second pack now being led by Robert Presley, John Andretti, Johnny Benson, and others. All right, Jerry, what's the strategy that the Earnhardt team is thinking about?
They're sitting here in the pits watching the television, watching the monitor. Here's what they're going to try to do. They've sent runners to other pits. They've sent a runner to the 21 pits, a runner to the 29 pits, and they want Skinner to get up there. They'd like to get 3 or 4 cars. As Ned said earlier, you can't slingshot with 1 car, but with 3 or 4, and Earnhardt leading that slingshot, they might have a shot at the front 2.
Here's Michael Walker trying to make a move on the outside of Steve Grissom. He just drove up there going into the turn, hoping that Mike Skinner might come with him, and it looked like Mike might do just that. Michael Spotter talking to him.
Go there. Clear. Good job. Good job.
Second position, moved into 5th.
We've had 14 different leaders and 25 lead changes in this event. Averaging about 115 miles an hour despite the red flag. Last lap turned at 161.3 by Sterling Marlin. Sterling tries to break the draft here in the tri-oval.
Yeah. Well, he's trying to pick up the draft of that Ernie Irvin's car down on the inside. That's what he's trying to do.
Look how far it is down to turn 3.
Long way down that back
Long
stretch.
way.
There they go. Cranked up going down to there.
Another slow car coming up will be the 12.
Michael Walker spotted him coming up on the 12 car. Derek Coates is running slow down on the inside. He's one
Get forward, 11 to go, 1-1 to go.
Derek involved in that big crash. There you see his car down on the inside. Had a great run going today, Derek Coates.
Sure did. Looking good. 7 cars in line here, but the 7th car, Mike Skinner, is not on the lead lap, so just the top 6 here are going for the win. Here's the second pack now.
They called Ted Musgrave, who had lost the draft of that front pack. Don't know if they're gaining on the leaders or not, because Ted was sort of falling back. He and Dick Trickle were drafting together.
Robert Presley and John Andretti and the others catch up to those 2 cars.
Might have gained a little bit while they were coming up on Musgrave and Trickle. 17 cars still on the lead lap.
.2 for the last lap.
Getting on with it. That's not far from the qualifying pole speed here. It was just over 192 miles an hour.
I have a feeling I had some bad information just a lap or 2 ago when I said it was 161. That's what my thing is showing, but I think that's probably 191.
Yeah.
Well, we got a Pontiac running 10th with Johnny Benson, 2 Chevys, a Ford, another Chevy, and a Ford in the top 5. 2 and 2 and 1 in the second 5.
Boy, I tell you, there's some things going through these guys' mind right now. What am I going to do? What do I need to do to win this race? Here's Presley going by Ted Musgrave. That's for the 7th position.
And John Andretti will come along also and pass Ted Musgrave. Here comes Johnny Benson and Bobby Hamilton under Musgrave. They come down to complete lap number 180. 8 laps to go.
deals out there, it sounds like, Bob, from information that we're getting, and that is that Grissom says he'll go with Michael Walker. He don't have any choice but to go. He'd be foolish not to go with whoever makes the move up there, because he's the last car on the lead lap in this pack.
Yep.
And so, yeah, he'd go with him and try to help him out a little bit, try to get himself another position.
For those of you tuning in for the Seniors Golf, stay tuned, because it'll be coming up in now 7 laps. That from Las Vegas. We're running a little bit over because we had a red flag and had to repair the catch fence down in turn 1, but we're less than 7 laps from the conclusion of this event. And as soon as we can, we'll wrap it up and send you to Las Vegas.
Earnhardt looked high on Jarrett going into turn 1. And now he looks high again as Jarrett looks low with Terry Labonte, and they can't make a move. That 4 car is so strong that 2 of them together couldn't do it.
Yep. Sterling Marlin won the race in July here at Talladega last year.
Here's Jarrett trying to make a move on Labonte, trying to go for second.
Wonder who Earnhardt's going to go with.
He's going to go with the car that's going towards the front. You can rest assured. And then they figure out later on what he'll do. Now those Chevrolets run side by side back there for a little bit with Earnhardt and Terry Labonte. That might hurt him. That might help Jarrett and Sterling Marlin pull away. In fact, they've got about 5 or 6 car lengths here already. Those guys do not want to stay side by side for long. That will absolutely kill them.
But on the other hand, you don't want to give up the position.
Yeah,
so
that's true. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Clear. You're clear all around.
Michael Walker straight at him. He's clear. Here comes Labonte right back up there again. Boy, that's the best thing can happen to Dale Jarrett and Sterling Marlin is for those guys to run side by side back there.
I thought Shirley was going to drop in behind Earnhardt and stand a better chance of catching the 2. But no, they stay side by side, and that does give quite an advantage here in the late going to Sterling Marlin and Dale Jarrett.
You're right, they can't afford to back off. Now Earnhardt gets out in front of Terry Labonte, but Michael Waltrip there is on the inside of him. So are they going to draft up? You got to have 2 cars drafting together. I don't think Earnhardt can catch him by himself. And these cars back there racing side by side. And they're not going to help him any. Earnhardt, you see, has pulled away from them while they race side by side.
But Marlin and Jarrett are quite a ways up ahead as things go here at Talladega. Now they may get back into line, but is it too late?
Well, I don't know. They got what, about 4 more laps to go.
Yep. It's 2.6 miles around.
Now the leaders are coming up on some traffic. Although it's traffic that's running slow, Bobby Labonte's up there. He might be running fast enough. That's about the only chance I believe that Dale Jarrett might have is catch Sterling Marlin in traffic. These 3 cars down on the inside won't be a factor excepting to help these 2 cars we see on the screen pull away from Earnhardt and them behind them. But now they're going around those cars pretty quickly. Bobby Labonte is up there running at a pretty good pace. Bobby is 2 laps down in 25th position. Terry Labonte has caught back up to Dale Earnhardt, but you can see that Jarrett and Marlin's pretty good piece in front of them.
Yep, and there's now 3 laps to go.
Now they're going to catch Kyle Petty and Bobby Labonte, who are running along at a pretty good clip.
Sterling Marlin and Dale Jarrett first and second.
Here they come up on those 2 cars.
Bobby Labonte and Kyle Petty.
That might be Jarrett's only chance if he can get himself in position when they pass those 2 cars is to get in front of Sterling Marlin. Because I said earlier, I just can't believe that one car can pull out and pass another and slingshot like we saw years ago.
And for Earnhardt and Labonte and Michael Waltrip and Steve Grissom, the time is running out. 2 laps to go. A little over 5 miles of competition to go, and now the 2 running up front.
Dale Jarrett's going to try to draft on Kyle Petty, but Kyle moves down to the inside of the racetrack out of the way, and the traffic is not going to be a factor.
And now Earnhardt and the others are caught behind this traffic momentarily at least.
Ooh, some close racing. Chuck Bowen and Bobby Labonte got awfully close together there.
There's Dale Earnhardt trying to catch a little bit of a toe off Kyle Petty. They come down through the tri-oval, and the white flag is about to wave for Sterling Marlin.
Earnhardt has definitely gained on him through that traffic situation.
Here we go, the last lap. The white flag is showing. Sterling Marlin and Dale Jarrett go into turn number 1, nose to tail. Dale Earnhardt, several car lengths behind, will probably not be a factor in the win. Although he and Labonte have now hooked up into the draft, and they may come close to Jarrett.
Well, if they do, Jarrett will, whichever way he feels Earnhardt's going to go, he's going to try to get in front of him to try to let him push him by.
Now they move into turns 3 and 4.
$100,000 up for Jarrett if he can make a pass.
Let's see if he can do it. They come on to the tri-oval. Doesn't look very good, Ned.
No, it doesn't. I don't think he can do it.
Marlin has a 1 car length advantage as they head for the line. There's the checkered flag. Sterling Marlin wins at Talladega with Dale Jarrett second, then Dale Earnhardt, Terry Labonte finishing in 4th, and Michael Waltrip 5th. Here's John.
Oh, a big bucket of ice-cold Gatorade going on Tony Glover. Well, Tony, it had to feel pretty good, huh?
Oh, man, I tell you, it's great. Sterling drove his heart out, and Runt, Glenn, Darrell, J.E., everybody in our motor room gave us a heck of a motor. Billy, all the guys at the shop, and Charlie Brunosa, Mike Laughlin, man, everybody here just gave me something great. I just watched it. It's fun.
How'd that shower feel there? That's pretty cold. You feel ice cold now?
Pretty cold.
Tony Glover headed down to victory lane. Everybody having a happy time down here in Sterling Marlin's pit, Bob.
It's Sterling's 5th career win. All have been on super speedways. 2 at Daytona, 2 at Darlington, or rather 1 at Darlington and 2 at Talladega. His first win of '96. Stay with us now, especially you golf fans, because the senior PGA from Las Vegas is coming up in just a moment. We're going to try to get Sterling into Victory Circle and get a quick word with him, and then we'll send you out to the golf. Great day, although we have had at least 2 drivers injured, Ricky Craven and Bill Elliott. We certainly hope that their injuries will not be very serious and they can get back into the racing game just as quickly as possible. Checking the spoiler there, Ned.
Yes, that's what they do on these high-speed restrictor plate tracks. They come in and check the spoiler to be sure that they're right height.
Second Chevy win, the 7th Chevy win of '96. Here are the unofficial results. Terry Labonte 4th, Michael Waltrip, great run for him, along with Grissom, Presley, Musgrave had a great run, so did John Andretti, Johnny Benson, Bobby Hamilton, Wally Dow. All these guys just had tremendous races here this afternoon. There are 16 through 30 rather, and you can see that there were 16 cars on the lead lap when the checkered flag dropped. And the remainder of the unofficial results. Sterling Marlin pulling the Kodak Film Chevrolet into Victory Circle, having won, and the 16th winner of the Winston Select 500 here at Talladega. And the win by Chevy ties them with Ford with most wins here at this facility, 14. Just as soon as he gets his helmet off, we will be sending it down to Dr. Jerry Punch and getting a quick word with Sterling Marlin in the winner's circle.
Well, he won here last July.
Here's the McDonald's winner's circle interview with Dr. Punch.
Sterling trying to get unhooked out here in Victory Lane, trying to get the earpieces out, and gets a big cold bottle of Gatorade handed to him. We'll try to get his earpiece off, and a big smile from the Kodak film driver. Hey, Sterling, how about that one, my friend? Great effort.
Man, I tell you what, with all these Kodak guys, they done a great job. Runt standing right there, he built us a heck of a motor for this thing, and we felt like we left one laying on the table at Daytona, and that we come down here and tested, probably run 1,200 miles, and all the credit and work goes to the Kodak crew. Thanks.
You had to like the fact that you saw those guys racing side by side, the 3 and the 5, and left you just to beat Dale Jarrett.
Yeah, it did. You know, when I saw them get back there side by side, and I think it was 4 laps to go, I figured that we might pull off and get away from them. But if they ever got lined up, they're going to be running 10 mile-an-hour faster when he got us. But it held off, and, man, we're just glad to be here. I tell you, it feels great.
From the back to the front 3 different times. Sterling Marlin picked up his first win of 1996, and he is the winner here at Talladega.
Sterling Marlin wins at Talladega Superspeedway. And we head for Sonoma, California, Friday qualifying. Next Saturday night, the Featherlight Budweiser 200 at 12:30 a.m. Eastern. Then NASCAR today at 3:30 next Sunday, and the Save Mart Supermarket 300 live at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. For Ned Jarrett, Jerry Punch, John Curtin, and Bill Weber, I'm Bob Jenkins. Thanks for joining us. So long, everyone. Now to Jim Kelly in golf.